match in the men's competition on sheet B. As we look down into the house, there are the teams, Canada and Norway, juicing it out for the 2019 gold medal here in Krasnoyarsk. I'm Karen Bashir, and joining me in the commentary box is Bob Askew.
Hi. Hello. Hi, nice to be here.
And an interesting matchup coming up here between these two teams. Bob, what can you say about the Canadians?
Well, this is going to be a real match of styles. The Canadians play a very different game than Norwegians do. In the curling world, you can see that the Canadians have developed a very different style than the Europeans. It's often a big challenge for the Canadians to come and play in Europe because they're used to playing with their fellow countrymen. There's the Norwegians getting ready to go, a little dance before the game. Gauten Epstad playing lead, Bendik Ramsfjell playing second, Martin Sessaker playing third, and Magnus Ramsfjell, Bendik's brother, skipping this team.
Yeah, these two met in the round robin. Of course, there are 10 teams in the competition, and they face each other once in the pool stages, if you like. Who juiced out the top there on that one?
The Canadians won that one, 9-7 against the Norwegians. It was a really, really strong game, very, very close. So they've played each other once before. They'll know what to expect. Good atmosphere here in the crowd. It's been great every single day. The volunteers have been great about getting the crowd wound up. There's the Canadian fans, super loyal all week. You'll see a lot of flag waving going on.
Ну давайте сюда, вот она! Ну, кто первый? Да, поздравляем! Отлично! Итак, друзья, считанные секунды остаются до начала.
Well, as we wait for the teams to be announced out onto the field of play, the bronze medal match in the men's competition going on at the same time simultaneously. And Brad, it was an interesting finish for the Canadians last night.
Yep, they had a very exciting one. It was a really good matchup all the way through. The shot play was fantastic. Switzerland had an open shot to win. It's a shot that Yannick Schwaller would have made many, many, many times before, and all he had to do was make contact with the Canadian stone, just move it a little bit off the 4-foot ring, and he let it go soft on very aggressive ice, and away the stone went, and the sweeper fought it the whole way down. But I think the Canadians could see as soon as he let it go that they were headed for the gold medal game.
Yeah, I had a little chat with the vice of the Canadian team, Tristan Stank, and he said that he felt they had a really good game, and then just winked at me and smiled, knowing that it possibly could have been out of their reach. But here, as we have the bagpipers here in the Ivan Yanagin Sports Palace, they've had a busy old 10 days, haven't they? Every session. Every single session. This is very traditional for curling around the world. If you go to China or Canada or wherever you are, every major competition, the soundtrack you'll hear is the Scottish bagpipes. For those of most of you who will know, Scotland is the country that claims the origin of curling, although it's hotly debated with the Dutch. But it's internationally recognized that it's been sport for over 350 years in Scotland, and nowhere in the world does top-level curling happen without the sound of the bagpipes. Well, a fabulous intro here ahead of the gold medal game. These teams have been playing here for a number of days in the build-up to this.
Yes,
are these the two teams that you would expect for the gold medal match?
Well, actually, all four of these teams that are on the ice right now, it could have gone either way. And there were so many close games. One stone here, one stone there that was going to make the difference. As I say, Canada, if everything had gone Yannick Schwaller's way, Canada would be on the other sheet and Switzerland would be playing Norway again. But that's curling. One stone makes the difference between glory and playing for the another medal. So Canada knew their favourite. They're a strong curling country. They're basically the world's best curling country by numbers and by success. So they would come here absolutely expecting to play or targeting to play the gold medal game, and they got there with a little help from Switzerland.
Games will begin in
You're going to see a very, very
Good luck
different
and
styles
good
of
luck.
curling. Norwegians are much more relaxed on the ice. Canadians a little bit more, professional is the wrong word, but they play very, very high-level curling with everybody in Canada. There's no way to play a slack game in Canada. So you're going to see complete focus here. You're going to see a very North American style of game, a lot of communication. They're more than happy to talk about the next shot out loud so the opposition can hear. Because they know that they know the shots and the Canadians know the shots, and they're just going to, a little bit of psychology as well. They say if we put it here, the others are going to have a really, really hard shot. So.
Well, they're just taking their final preparations on the ice here. Now, the Canadians with the higher seed after the round robin got a choice between having the hammer in the first end or the colour of the rock. Slightly different from how we've seen the setup for the start.
Actually, now they've changed. This is the first year they've changed. The higher ranking team gets everything. So they both got hammer and stone colour. The second team gets nothing except second practice.
I'll have to have a chat with the Iceman. It was Mark Cullen.
No, it's only changed this year. This is the first season that's changed.
Well, here we go. Beginning of the gold medal match here at the Winter Universiade 2019 in Krasnoyarsk. Norway leading out the line with the vice, Gaute Nepstad.
The ice has really been great all week. Really nice swing, nice finish. Exactly what we like for this level of curling.
Throwing up a centre guard to start things off. The lead from Canada next, Glenn Venance, 22 years old, from Lloydminster in Canada, representing the University of Alberta in Edmonton. In fact, all four of the Canadians hark from that university.
And ironically, that's where I studied and have my degree in fine arts. It's from the U of A in Edmonton. This is a very, very aggressive start. Often when the teams aren't sure of the ice, they'll come into the house and spend the first end hitting just to read the ice, get more comfortable with it and save time on the clock. But they're going straight in to score.
Second stone now from Nepstad. 4 players on each team. And the two teams take it in turns to throw stones. Each player throws 2 stones in each end. And the idea is to get your stones closer to the centre of the house, the button, than your opponent's. Played over 10 ends.
Nice shot, a little heavier than he wanted. He wanted to just sit on top of that. That's unlocked the 2 stones, so Canada will roll to the side. There's the nervous coach watching on. Nothing you can do on the coach's bench. You just hope your job is done, and then you get to sit and watch your team perform.
Yeah, that was Rune Hansen, the Norwegian coach there. This looks like a slightly heavier weight.
This is going to come down. It's going to catch this. He doesn't. Oh, no, that's not what he wanted. He needed a half stone tighter than that.
9-8 as well.
Move things around. Again, this is why sometimes teams just hit in the first end.
So you're saying it needed a half stone tighter. You mean he wants to connect with the stone a bit more true, a bit closer to the centre?
We call it on the nose. The nose is the centre of the stone. He wanted to be a bit closer to the nose, so he took the yellow stone out and rolled and just sat on the side. What you want to do is split the house. Move your stones around so that the other team can't get to more than 2 of them at a time.
So the number 2, Bendik Ramsfjell, 23 years old, from Oslo Metropolitan University, a junior world bronze medal in 2017.
And again, they hit that stone. It's too much swing. Hit it too thin and rolled out. He definitely wanted to keep that yellow stone in the house.
Cannot sweep it out. Bump on this one, right? I like that.
Both teams are on a time clock. You'll see that right behind Magnus, his time ticking down. Each team gets 38 minutes to play the game. So often in the first end they hit just to save time on the clock for later when they might need it.
Chris Kennedy, the number 2 for the Canadians. He actually harks from Edmonton, born there and studying there.
got it. All the way out, all the way out, all the way out.
That looked a little bit more like you were saying, trying to hit it a little bit closer to the center and staying in the house.
You've got to keep your shooting stone in the house. There's no point in rolling out, hitting wide, rolling out, because the opposition then don't have to use a rock to deal with it. That was a shot that he would probably like to have rolled under, but it was a little wide, so they rolled it away. One of the classic shots in curling is a hit and roll, where you use the other person's stone to redirect and get underneath a guard.
Straight take out there.
Good shot, just hanging on the edge. That might come in handy later.
This'll curl.
You heard him say this'll curl, and that's for sure. This has been very aggressive ice all week. It's been fun to play on, but hard to manage sometimes. This is why a lot of the inexperienced teams aren't here, because you need really good technique to play on this kind of ice. Sweeper's working hard on this one, so it's obviously curling more than they were expecting. Again, over curled and out of the back. This is exactly why I say some teams just play hits in the first end, just to try to get this control, read this ice a little bit better when they're really going to need it later. Martin will try to get something set up here.
So the third, the 24-year-old from the Norwegian University of Science and Technology in Trondheim. He's throwing rocks 5 and 6 for the Norwegians.
So all the first shots in the game have been hits. So they weren't sure of the draw weight, and it's really keen ice. Keen means it's really fast. So that certainly didn't slow down.
Yeah, rolled out of the back of the house, so removed from play.
It's quite a nice temperature in the arena down at ice level. It's around 11 degrees, which means there's a nice thin film of water on the top of the ice, microscopic level thin layer of water, which keeps the stones moving. The stones don't have a solid base, they're concave, so very, very little of the stone actually touches the pebble of the ice, which is why these very heavy granite stones can move so far.
Yeah, it's only a thin lip as well of the stone that touches the ice, around about 6 mil ring around just underneath the sort of red handle. And the stones roll on pebbles on top of a flat surface. It's not a completely flat surface. And that one's quite heavy as well.
Very deep. They wanted to keep that one above the tee line. It's not. So both teams struggling here with line and weight. This is heading to a blank end. I think this is going to be pretty clean, and they'll move on to the second end and try to build something up.
Well, Canada with the hammer, which if you're new to curling means they get the last stone at the end, which is an advantage. And you're expected to score a minimum of 2 points on an end when you have the hammer. If the Norwegians can contain the Canadians to just 1, then Norway, as Brad said, may do what they call blanking at the end, basically getting no score, and they'll maintain the hammer.
If you get this far into the end and you're not set up to score, then you'll find the team blank. They want to hold on to that hammer advantage, and the worst thing you can do is be forced to 1 point and lose the hammer advantage. So they'll want to keep this nice and clean, move on to the second end and hope for a better setup.
Go big, clean, big bump, big bump. Go then. Big bump. Go then. No.
Okay. You'll see Norway sweeping that stone. They're not allowed to put their brush to the ice until it crosses the tee line. So Canadians are in complete control until that stone touches the tee line, and then the Norwegians can do everything they can to roll it out the back.
That one looked like it might roll out on its own.
They just want to make sure. It's often that it gets slowly to the outside and then spins back in on itself. It's quite a phenomenon, and we've been caught out many times by that. They want to make sure it clears the back of the rings. And also they don't want it hanging on over the back line, because until it's fully over that line, it stays in play. And it's a potential jam. Something could hit it and stay in the rings. So they want to make sure that the back is clear.
So the skip from Norway, Magnus Renfjell, As you can see, representing the Norwegian University of Science and Technology. 3 of the Norwegians from that university, and the 21-year-old skip also was the 2017 Junior World Bronze medalist and is the Norwegian national champion. Is that one going to make it out the back, or will it cling on?
Quick.
He's really, with that centre guard, they're really trying to get something on the centre line above the T line and force a mistake from Canada. But nobody's had much luck in this end, weight or line.
It's tough to get the...
Okay, now Canada's going to challenge Norway. They're seeing that they're not getting their line and weight accurate, so they're going to look to come in behind here, get a position, and hope the Norwegians make a miss. And they're still on for 2 points.
Yeah, 14.75 here, buddy. Yeah, pretty good speed.
So what looked like it could be a blanked end has now opened up a little bit for the Canadians, but they require both 2 well-executed stones from their skip. Karsten Sturmey, the 22-year-old.
You'll see Karsten sweeping with an old-style hairbrush. They're banned now for modern sweeping because they were able to steer the stone and damage the ice. So they're allowed for sliding, but no sweeping.
Line's getting better. Line's good. Line's great. Copy. Yep.
Well, as you can hear, they're happy with that one.
Yep, it looks good. Line's good, top 8. Nice and tight to the guard.
So just coming past, but falling a little short there of the house. Still means it's in play here, but what do you predict the Norwegian skip to do here, Brad?
Well, he's now got 2 guards up front, and he's sitting one in the house. This is interesting because there's so many heavy draws that the Canadian sweepers probably would have given their skipper a time, and he probably hit it, but it just didn't get to the rings. So you're getting people coming short of the rings and you're getting back of the rings. Nobody's found that T-line weight, which they should have done in their 9-minute practice before the game.
So what do you mean by he would have been given time?
All of the sweepers, you see them with their stopwatches. They time at the back, and they will tell once it crosses that red hog line, they will be able to have a really good idea of how fast the stone is moving and where it will stop. But because nobody's hit T-line weight, nobody probably knows what that time is right now. So they're guessing based on the position of the other stones.
So no nervousness coming out from the players in the first end here.
That's the case, because they probably had a pretty good practice. That's a great shot behind a double guard. Now it's all down to Canada.
Well, saved it for the last stone, the Norwegians, but it's Canada with the hammer and the last stone advantage in the first end. Norway have set things up for a potential steal here, and I think bare minimum at the moment will be a containment of 1 for Canada. And the Norwegians will be happy after the first end.
They'll be very happy. If you can force the opposition to a 1 and take the hammer from them, that's the best result you can have. You heard the Canadian skipper say nobody's been out this far. So again, he's going to be a little shaky on what the time of this stone needs to be. All he needs to do is come around that high top centre guard and move this back enough to score. But this is a great force.
Line's good. Close. A little late. Line's good. Line's a little tight. Copy.
So this one coming in now. What's the weight look like?
It looks a little bit thin. He's going to have to go. It's got to swing big. Where's it on that top guard?
Sweeping hard.
The sweeping hard. It's short. It's short.
We thought we might have had the wing a little bit. But
yep.
Good call.
And first blood for Norway here. Against the hammer, they steal the first end. Norway leading Canada 1-0 after the first end. Well, Norway will be the happier team there.
It's interesting because they went right in aggressive and put that centre guard up, but I would have thought halfway through here both teams knew or were looking that they weren't getting their line, they weren't getting their weight, so it was looking for a blank. But Norway really took advantage of that Canada really didn't know their weight and line. And there's the first point on the board.
Great steal from Norway in the first end. The hammer stays with Canada. We're at the start of the second end in the men's curling gold medal match here at the 29th Winter Universiade in Krasnoyarsk. Vice for Norway out of the hack. Gaute Nepstad is the lead for the Norwegians.
There's a lot of rotation on this stone. That's going to help when it finishes. It'll finish a little straighter, not a big kick at the end, so it's easier to judge where the stone's going to finish. Back behind the T-line, that's not where you want to start. Norway will probably put up corner guards now. Or Canada, sorry, put up... Oh no, they're going to take this one out. This is probably what they should have done in the first end, just to get a little bit more confident in line and weight.
So Rune Hansen will be the happier of the two coaches as Canada lead out with Glenn Venant, and different tactic to the first end here. Canada going for power over placement. Norway sweeping hard to try and get this one to come out of the side of the house, and it's just clinging on to the 12-foot there.
These are the annoying ones that come back to bite you later. When the battle goes into the 4-foot in the center, there's always that one hanging on the edge that bothers you. Good try by Magnus there, just going to spin back in. There we go.
Second stone from Nepstad device for Norway.
See the Canadians behind him watching the line of this stone. Not many people have played way out here on the edge of the 12-foot, so they're just seeing how the stone finishes.
You like that?
This way.
He looks happy with that one. It's back over to the 22-year-old Venance. Now, what's the skip doing there? Obviously, he's giving instruction on what to throw, but why is the broom down? What's it there for?
The broom is where the player targets, because we read the ice. We know that there's about a 5-foot swing on this ice, so the skip judges where you have to throw the stone toward to have it finish where you want it to. So a big skill in the pre-game practice, the 9-minute practice before these games start, is really seeing how the ice is swinging.
And as well as aim, they're looking at weight as well. Who's calling the weight?
Sweepers. The sweepers are entirely in charge of the distance of the stone. The skip is entirely in charge of the line. So Magnus is giving the target line here, and the sweepers will know, and the player will know what weight of stone, what speed of stone they need to throw to execute this shot. Once the player lets go, it's the two sweepers who are fully in charge of getting that stone down to where it has to be. The skip will only get involved if the line is wrong.
Well, Bendik Ramsfjell releasing the first of his two stones and throwing up a centre guard. They want that one to go just a little bit further?
That's a little bit far out. This ice is very, very big finish. You can move a full stone over within half a brush length. So you really need to be careful where you put your guards. Too far out and they're just invisible. You can throw middleweight hits and still get right around them. So Canada's coming through the gap here to hide behind their corner guard. Build something up in this end, get some momentum.
Chris Kennedy. Spoke to him this morning. He was fairly relaxed, fairly comfortable, and he said, we're just going to play this like another match.
That was close. Really well judged by the sweepers. You hear them talking all the way down. Really well read. Good position.
14-3.
So 14-3, you heard, is the speed that the stone traveled between the two hog lines. It gives you a really good indication of how fast the ice is moving. All week it's been around 14, which has been great for us.
Yeah, I'm told it's more consistent as the week has gone on as well. There's a big weight thrown here. Looking for a double.
A little bit too straight on the stone. Didn't get the angle quite right. This is a really big shot in the modern game, run backs. This used to be a very, very rare sight and only used when you were in a real trouble. And now it's a total part of the game. You just have to get your stone in position, knowing the other team will try to run their guard stone back to get rid of it. It's a specialty of the Swedish men's team.
And is this to do with the implementation of the 5-rock free guard zone?
Part of it is that, and part of it is the fact that a guard used to be a pretty safe place to hide, but people are so good now at running those stones back. It's something that we do in every single practice session. practice that run back shot because it's a great way to get out of trouble. 5-rock rule means that now until the 6th stone is played, nothing can be removed from the free guard zone. They brought this rule in to bring more stones into play, make the beginning more aggressive, and to bring a few higher scores in, make it more interesting for the players and for the audience. In the old days, when there was no free guard zone rule where you could remove anything, the first 5 ends were usually blanked, so people never tuned in on TV till an hour into the game just to see what was happening. But it's really changed the game now, very aggressive right from the beginning.
And if you're new to curling, a guard is anything that sits between that red line the rock's just gone over and the house itself. Anything around the centre line is called a centre guard, and on the outside, called an outer guard. And they're there as tactical rocks to set things up for later on, a bit like chess on ice.
It certainly is chess on ice. We were laughing because during our pre-event warm-up, there's a big human-sized chess set in one of the athlete lounges. So we had the curling players playing chess on chess, then coming here and playing chess on ice.
Chris threw a 14.5.
Yeah, I know, but
that was right to team.
Yes, we are.
You hear a lot of technical talk from the sweepers giving advice to the player just as they're about to throw.
Tristan Steinke there, the third and vice for Canada.
You can see how much slower this stone is curling. That means it's going to finish bigger at the end. It's going to dig into the ice and finish. The more rotation you put, the straighter the stone finishes.
Well, the line looked good, but the weight perhaps a little heavier than he wanted.
Canadians are really struggling with this. This should really be something they're on top of right from the pre-game practice. And they're really struggling to get a stone in position here. Sometimes when you're passing a guard and you know the stone is heavy, the sweepers will sweep it in to rub the guard on the way by to try to take some weight off it. But you can see there's no way they would have rubbed that guard. It's too far.
So Seika there coming down the ice, throwing his second stone. Now, Brad, you talk about the sweepers affecting the stone. That's through the guards. That's a good shot. That looks like it's going to get right onto the button.
Yeah, Norway have really got their weight down. They're certainly got the advantage now.
We hand over to the fourths, both skips finishing things off for the teams. What are the sweepers actually doing? What is their job? You talk about line, but they can affect the distance as well.
That's probably the most asked question in curling. When somebody says, oh, I've watched curling, I've got a question for you. You know the next question. Besides, do you have your own rocks, which is no. The next question is, why are they sweeping? The sweeping heats the ice, creates a deeper film of water than is there naturally. So you can sweep like both sweepers are for distance, which means the stone, there's less friction, so the stone will move that little bit further. Also, if the stone is curling too much, you can sweep on one side and try to keep the stone a bit straighter. I mentioned that hairbrush earlier. The reason it was banned is because the players learned to put so much pressure on the hairbrush it scratched the ice and changed the path of the stone. So the players were not having to be as accurate because the sweepers could steer their stone, but that's been removed. And we now all use that yellow fabric you can see on the bottom of the brush there. That's regulation World Curling Federation fabric that all brushes must now use. And they're checked by the umpires.
So now the thinking time, 38 minutes, the teams get across the 10 ends, starts to come into play, and you can hear the Norwegians having a little chat about what they're going to do here. Brad, what would your call be?
Well, the Norwegians at the moment, because they got a point on the board, they're actually trying to keep Canada to 1 point here. So what they'll do is spread their stones out, look for a force, look for something that Canada can't build on. They're in a great position at the moment. Nice shot. Just a nice little hit and flop, we call it. The Canadians now can only see the outside half of that stone, so any contact they make will roll into the open. That was a great shot. Nice control. Beautiful weight.
Actually, that probably looks like bump place to me. We can roll wide. That's probably better, honestly.
So you can see there, the Canadians can only see the outside, so they're going to roll to the left toward their red guard.
You guys like that ice?
So looking to play a similar shot here between the red rock guard and the centre guard. But as you suggested, because they can only see a certain amount of the stone closest to the button, it's where their rock then goes off afterwards that's the problem for them.
This is a classic curling shot, a hit and roll. You have to make contact and remove that stone, but you really have to focus on where your stone's going to finish. If it rolls too far and is out in the open, Norway will take it out and be sitting 3 points, and Canada will then have to draw for their one. Well, they're fighting hard on this one.
Yeah, it looks like it might go close to the centre guard here. Does just tap it.
Caught. Canadians are really struggling with this line and weight.
I don't know, boys.
Mini advantage for Norway again here. The first curling at the Universiade happened back in FISU at the Winter Games of 2003. This is the 9th edition of curling at the Winter Universiade. And no real surprise to see Canada fighting for the gold medal, but it's Norway in pole position at the moment.
Norway's in a great position now. They're going to put up a guard here, and what we say, ask Canada the question, means let's see how good you are, get out of this mess. I have to say, this is the same game that Canada brought to the Czech Republic when we played them in the round robin. We finished off them 9-4 or 10-4. I can't remember what the final score was, but it was a really solid game. They just didn't find their line and weight, and we were all over them.
Yeah, you won 10-4 in the round robin stages.
This looks good.
Is it going to clear the guard? It does, just.
It's a great shot, so there's no way through to directly hit that. Canada's going to have to draw. So again, Norway is going to, if Canada makes this shot, Norway will force them to 1 point. So they'll lose the hammer advantage with only 1 point on the board. That's great play by Norway.
But where is the route through to draw this into the centre?
Quarter?
He's going to...
14 quarter, yeah, right in there.
14-4 they've just asked for. He's going to come through those 2 right-hand yellow stones. This is going to be, he's going to have to be careful here. Too little weight, he rubs the inside guard. Too much, he gets the outside one. He's going to be a little bit worried about that over curl on the last shot, so he's going to be probably quite positive here. They've got to be careful he doesn't slip back too far.
Final rock of the second end here. Karsten Sturmey, the skip for Canada, trying to avoid a big steal here. Gold medal at stake.
Line looks good, and they say the weight sounds good. This looks like a good shot. Great shot.
Now it's about the legs.
Great shot. Perfect button shot. That's what skip's here for. When your team's in trouble, put it on the button. Canadians will be happy with that.
Well, they avoided the steal, but with the hammer, a team is always expected to score more than one. Norway have contained them to one, having stolen the first end, but it's one apiece as we go into the third in the men's curling gold medal match.
I think it's a fresh half. It wasn't a fresh half. We can get you. Chris and I are also seeing a little bit of a slant to the bottom. Why didn't it show up on mine? No idea. Okay, so I think we're going to get you. Which ones do you want? Do you want Tristan's, shuffle Tristan's to you, Tristan have mine, and I'll take yours?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, and that one's a bit of a cutter?
Okay. So we are in A+.
That final rock there in the second end, near perfection. That will give the Canadians,
Chris, which ones do you have? The 1-5?
some confidence going into the third. But you have to say, at the moment, Norway are playing better. But Brad, often it's the case in sport when you're not quite playing up to your absolute best and you're still staying in there, that you can find a way to dig through.
This is 10 ends is a very long game. It's the longest version of the game we play. And now there's 8 ends left, which is what a normal curling game would be. So there's a long way to go. I mean, if Canada had missed that shot and Norway had been up 4-0, this would have been a painful game for Canada. They'd have to fight hard. But as it is 1-1, it's back to level. An 8-end game to come, so it's all to play for. And Canada are going to get better and better. They're too experienced not to.
So Glenn Venant leading the line for Canada. Norway with the hammer in the third end, and a very short centre guard there from the Canadians.
Norway are playing well, and they're going to be confident now. They're really going to go for a multi-point end here. They know they've got their line. They know they've got their weight. Because Canada only scored one, their goal for this end will be to steal one and get a 2-point lead. So that's why they put that center guard up. So this is going to be a real touch shot battle around the forefoot to see who scores for this end.
Second stone from Venance for Canada.
Close. Are you heavy, guys? You heavy? Close. Yes.
Coming down big, so instead of sitting on top of that Norwegian stone, they're probably going to want to tuck underneath of it.
Top 4.
That's a really good shot out of it.
Yeah, I thought they were calling it back 4, so that was finished up a little shorter than they thought it was going to, but at least they've got a bit of separation in the stones.
Great toss one. Anybody had a clock?
Norway out of the hack quickly here. Nipsted throwing second stone. Knew what he wanted to do immediately. The sweeper's doing a minimal amount of work at the moment.
They're trying to steer that stone to the inside of the red to move it off the center line. Okay, good shot. Now any contact on that yellow stone moves this red stone out to the side. Exactly the angle they wanted. That's a classic mixed double shot.
I like less. You like a little less?
Come to the inside of the target stone.
So the Norwegian lead playing well in the setup here for the third end. Canada's second, Chris Kennedy.
Line's good. Close tight. Close tight. Top 12. Tight line. What's good, what's good. Whoa.
Coming around the other side this time.
If you're not so familiar with curling, you'll hear the sweepers calling numbers. The blue ring is the 12-foot ring. The white ring is the 8-foot ring, and the red ring is the 4-foot. So you hear them saying top 12, top 8, top 4. That's giving the skip an indication of where they think the stone will stop.
Enten runnen og sitte 2, eller bare dra ut på sida. Kan dra ut på siden, kanskje? Kan dra bak her også, jeg liker det nå.
How's your Norwegian?
It's not that great, but I think you can get a good indication from what the use of the broom as to what they're trying to do here.
Runnen kanskje safest, jeg vet ikke. Ja, bare bli sittende med shooteren som corner. Ja.
We see so much Swedish curling that we often call bra linje, which is good line. So even back in the Czech Republic, I call it in Swedish. So we're going to get a run back here. This is going to try to change the stone positions in the front. Going to run that red guard back and try to contact and move things around. Oof, just missed it. It's a very tough shot on this aggressive swingy ice. It's really hard to get that contact right in the right spot. It's hard work for the sweepers.
Medium on the red, and I mean, even if you overcurl and clip the 2, you probably clip it out.
So do you like it here?
Well, you saw one of the athletes there just slowing the stone down. They knew that rock was going out of the back of the house, and as soon as it crosses that back line, it's no longer in play and rests up on the outside. And the rock's condition is crucial here. I heard from Mark Callum, the Iceman here, that some of the rocks are perhaps not quite as true as they were when they first came here for the test event.
The stones have to be conditioned every once in a while. That means that they deal with the bottom surface where it contacts. Oh, great shot! Where it contacts the ice. When it's papered, they use a rough sandpaper, and it's done once in each direction to give more grip on the ice and make the stones move more. But over time, some of them smooth out, some of them stay aggressive. So in the evening, when everybody's left, the coach and the alternate stay at night, and they throw the whole set of 8 stones, trying to look for little changes, some a little straighter, some a little further, some a little more aggressive, and they choose those stones and give them to particular players for their shots. But these are great stones. They're made at Kays in Scotland. They're Olympic standard stones. They're a pleasure to play with.
Well, at the halfway stage of the third end of the men's gold medal match, it's Norway who are giving Canada something to think about. Canadians, perhaps the favourites for the gold medal here, are being pegged back by the Norwegians.
How do you like that?
Norwegians have played some great games this week. They're a really relaxed team, a very nice team to play against, really friendly, really sporting. And they just keep coming and coming and coming, never give up. You see that stone on the left-hand side? It didn't quite touch the foam, so it stays in play, which means it's always a danger. If a stone comes and bumps it, it can still hang on to the edge of the rocks, edge of the rings.
Early. Oh, no, clean. One drop to the flight. Halfway high. One to the flight. Gotta finish. Big finish. Line's getting good. Yep.
You heard the call from the skip there, wanting that rock to roll a little bit further and a little bit more true to the centre. Happy with that one?
They'll be happy. It's a little bit long, but you heard them say 17.8, so it took 17.8 seconds to move between those 2 red lines. Okay, so Norway can see the edge of that stone with a nice little medium weight here. They can tap that back and move the Canadian red one out of scoring position.
Oh, they're going to get past the guard.
They're fighting hard to keep this straight.
Oh,
Great shot.
Just so close to the guard laid up by the Canadians.
That's one of the most useful mid-weight hit. It takes about 10 seconds to get between the 2 red lines, and it's one the teams practice over and over and over to move stones around but keep the shot stone that they just played in the rings. Great shot.
Yeah, and the way that they're laid out at the moment, are the Canadians going to play a similar shot here, just trying to go in between the 2 guards but curl the other way?
This is a beautiful setup for a double. If he gets this right, one stone a little higher than the other one, they'll come off that right-hand stone onto the left one.
Right out of the hack. Looking pretty strong.
Sweepers aren't touching it.
1,
Beautiful.
2, a great shot, a great reply there from the Canadians. And they are fighting back. The Norwegians still playing well. But as you suggested, Brad, the Canadians getting better as each end progresses.
They were centimetres from jamming on that back red one that was off the rings. If they had done, the yellow stone would have stayed in play. So they were lucky to clear both of those. As soon as Norway played that previous stone, they knew that they'd set up a double. So then they were just hoping that they wouldn't get both of them.
So Martin Seseka with his last stone of the third end, playing a similar shot to the one he'd played before, just tapping out the red stone, keeping theirs clung onto the right-hand side.
Rolled a little bit too far. They wanted to stop behind the guard, but you can clearly see now, they can see the whole stone. They're going to want to roll in on that one now and stop behind that yellow guard.
Probably, yeah. Probably need a little extra, hey?
Yeah, to get firm coming in, I agree.
It's funny listening to the Canadians versus the rest of the world. The Canadians have a real unique vocabulary about curling that sort of gets translated as it moves around the world.
Keep brooms down.
But no matter where you are, you hear from Japan to China to Russia, you hear the English version of a lot of these classic shots.
So Sturmay out of the hack, must release the rock before the first hog line.
Sweepers aren't touching it. Sweepers aren't touching it. Looks a little bit straight. Yeah, so.
So wanted to catch that one and then roll closer to the centre?
Just needed to catch it a bit on the inside. It didn't. I don't think it swung as much. He might have thrown a little heavier than they planned on. Needed to finish a little bit more and catch the inside of the middle of that stone.
So we're going to expect the same shot now from Norway.
Yeah. It's a nice distance for this shot. Not too far to roll, so it's easy for them to control.
And they would have had the experience of seeing what the Canadian had done.
They've just seen where the Canadians iced it and what weight they threw. So this one's probably going to be a little bit softer. Oh, he's taking a little bit more ice, so it's definitely going to be softer.
Looks like he's going wider with the guide for where he should aim.
They're going to bring the weight down a little to try to make sure they save the shooter if it's tight.
Magnus Ramsfjell, the skip, youngest member of the team. Well, that's hit the inside and rolled in, and that is tucked up. It's a bit further across than perhaps he wanted.
Yeah, that was a little bit light, and the sweepers were struggling to hold it. He needed to hit a little bit thicker on the stone. You can just see there it hit just too thin. Hard one to judge.
Yeah, and we're talking at the sort of delivery end, fractions of a millimetre, because we're talking about centimetres down in the house, and it's having rolled 146 feet.
Most of these stones, it's not the line that they get wrong, it's just a small bit of weight. If the stone comes down a little slower than they wanted, it's going to overcurl and hit the stone too thin. If they put a little bit extra weight on it, like a half a second, it's just going to hit the nose, it's not going to finish. So it's really difficult to get exactly the weight, the speed that you want to get that shot.
So Canada's final stone released by Karsten Sturmay, the skip. Through the two guards.
And hit that a little bit too wide.
That looks like it's very close to rolling out, but it clings onto the 12-foot ring.
So Norway will just peel this out and roll out with their shooter. They don't want to score one in this end. Canada have given them a nice open target.
So looking to blank the end. Can't score more than one, Norway, and they say that's not enough. So they'll try and knock this one out of the house, and with their shooter run that out of the house as well. No score means Norway retain the hammer, with the scores all tied up at 1 apiece.
This looks like an easy shot, but I know from experience it's all too easy to throw it a little bit tight and nose the stone and stay in for 1 point, which is exactly what you don't want.
Past the guards and executed well there. Norway do blank the third end, no points. They retain the hammer with the score at 1 apiece. And a really intriguing match here unfolding for the gold medal in Krasnoyarsk.
It's a very different arena here without a Russian team playing, because I can tell you the atmosphere when there is a Russian team on the ice is unbelievable. The cheering and chanting and songs. It's up to the Canadians to wave the flags and keep the crowd going today.
Well, here we are at the end of the first three, and Norway keeping Canada at bay. FISU and the local curling organisation, plus the Russians, have done a great job of promoting the sport here. An education forum set up by FISU in the summer of 2018 has seen curling promoted around the state as we begin the fourth end of the men's gold medal match.
Really curling, really curling. Still heavy. Fight for it.
In a 10-end game, this is all about patience. After we're going to throw 80 stones during this game, each team, and somewhere along the line, the big mistake is going to come. You just have to be really patient. Your big chance to put points on the board, and it could come anywhere in the game. It's the hardest skill to learn is just to be patient.
Du vil ha corner?
Ja.
Ok. Tenkte han kunne få smake sin egen medisin, men... Ok, 2.
Ja.
Well, the Canadians starting the fourth end by throwing one into the house. What's going to be the reply from Gaute Nepstad, the lead for the Norwegians?
If they want to get points on the board, they really need to get these two corner guards up now. It's far enough in, everybody knows the ice. They'll put a corner guard up. The next one will probably be to the other side, depending on what the Canadians do. They want it nice and tight. Okay, a little bit long. Canada are going to guard the center line and hope that maybe they can walk away with a steal of a 1 in here and open up at least a 1-point lead.
Always Tristan, always Tristan.
Tristan all day.
Always Tristan.
Can't be in the house. Tristan, finish when you can.
Hard, Tristan.
Both of you if you can.
Hard!
Not in the house, though.
You heard the skip say it cannot be in the house, so they were waiting to see how fast that stone was coming down so they could sweep a bit and finish it onto the center line. If that stone had even touched the front of the rings, then it's able to be hit.
So, Brad, for the uninitiated, or those not so used to the competition standard we're at here, let me ask you what might be a bit of a dumb question. Why aren't they just throwing all their stones into the centre of the house?
The problem with throwing your stones into the house, as soon as they're in the, as we call, in the paint, then they're able to be hit. And open hits don't score you points. If we hit, they hit, we hit, they hit, we hit, they hit, you don't get anywhere. So the only way to get multiples is to get guards up, to get one stone sitting on top of another one, what we call a freeze, to try to force a mistake and keep your stones in the house. The only way to, the classic way to build up an end is to put corner guards up, get stones out hidden behind them on the outsides, and then leave your skip to draw to the 4-foot red ring for 3, for 4 if you're very lucky. But at this level, people are able to run back guards, they're able to pick stones out, so it's hard work getting this 2 and 3 on the board. Often you need a mistake from the other team.
Well, all about setup in the early rocks here. That's why lead and second so important.
As far as she goes.
Trying to get this one up, and it's just outside.
That's not a good shot. It's left a double center guard. Norway will take advantage of that. There they go. They're going to come around because they can't cleanly hit that red stone now. They're going to try to position their stone so that it's safe in the 4-foot.
So going for a big draw here, aiming way out to the 12-foot. Completely different shot from anything we've seen so far in this end. Trying to curl from the right-hand side across to the left, moving quite some distance. The ice is about 15 feet wide.
You see the stone really dig in and change direction as soon as it comes over the hog line. Nice big finish. This looks like a great shot. Great shot. So Canada's going to angle run this back. This should be...
We have 0 runs on these reds right now.
I'm just saying, like, if we open this, side one up, can we not get the roll in?
No.
You heard him say he's got 0. This is why Norway could take advantage of this, because there's no clean shot on either of those red stones to come back into one of the stones in the house. That was a great positional shot.
That's hooked, right?
You see that left-hand red would have to be hit on the inside of the stone to hit that left yellow, which is covered.
Which one do you like
So this
better,
is a really great setup for Norway.
Hey,
So the only way they can do this is run across and hit the opposite one. He's going to hit that left red into the right yellow. Tricky shot.
All about the angles and the weight.
oh no.
Sweepers are off it. I think this is high.
Yeah, you heard the Canadians calling, oh no. The skip saying no, and they've hit their own guard. The one they wanted to hit, but way too thinly, and it's cut across the top of the house and missed everything in the middle.
Ja. Tror de spiller den, men hvis de gjør det, så har vi 2 corner I så fall.
Ja. Alternativt halt om halt bak, da. Det en mulighet?
Kan dra her, ja.
Ja.
Jævlig mye å treffe på den, da, så jeg liker bedre Andøy.
Gauta Nepstad, the vice there,
2-0.
in consultation with Magnus Remsfjell. Are they going to throw another one into the middle here?
They're coming around. It's really important where they get this stone position because teams at this level can really take advantage of angles. So they really have to have a talk with each other about where this finishes. Don't set up a double or worse. Yeah. They're basically just replacing the Canadian stone. A little bit higher.
Haven't thrown into the house. They've thrown another centre guard up. They're trying to protect what they've got already.
Again, they've left Canada just 2 angle run backs if they want to bring that red into the house, so that's a good shot.
This is better, actually. Do this, and you might get lucky and push that. Okay, that's better.
Okay, you're going to see some granite flying now. They'll try to clean up a little bit at the front because they're not in a great position.
So the Canadians, under pressure, a look to start employing the power shots.
It's a look of concentration there.
Oh. No. Yeah.
Stay off it until they get to the hog line.
Okay. He was actually looking to peel that guard and possibly push the red one into the house as it passed over it.
Yeah, there's pretty good set.
Hit that a little bit of a straight angle, which means there's still 3 guards left in the center. Which is great for Norway. Going to come around the other side now, probably.
So they want to put a rock back in the same position. That's what they're discussing at the moment. But as Brad Askew, our curling expert, suggested, looking to come from the other side.
There's a really nice angle on the guards because the yellow one is quite high. So if they pass that, they've got a really nice path in underneath.
So in fact, coming from the same way, the sweepers are staying off this. It's over the hog line. Is it going to clear the guards? It does. And is this going to just touch up against the one they've got?
I think that hung a little bit wider than they were hoping. I think they wanted to get a little bit further underneath there.
Yeah.
I don't hate it.
I kind of like the angle better for
Sure.
that. Yeah.
Do you like the out?
Probably the in, actually.
Okay. All right. You're looking for 3/4.
I like a little less then.
So they're going to run this back, try to tidy up the house. So it's going to be big weight.
So when you say run this back, they're aiming for the middle rock there in the
centre? They're going to take that middle red and run it back into those yellows and hopefully clear the house.
So another power shot here from Tristan Steinke.
Go.
Perhaps a little lighter than the last one.
Great shot. Great shot.
Hell of a shot.
That's going to make a big difference to Canada because Norway was really building up there. See smiles on the bench. They know they got out of trouble there.
I think the bottom of the bowl is actually
So you see on the replay.
Yes. You know that feeling when you play a great run back. Okay, so Norway start again, come around the guards and try to get something set up here.
Sweeper's working hard on this one. What is the reply to the great shot from Canada?
It's a great shot, nice and close to the guard. Good call on line. Nice shot. So Norway sitting 1. And nicely behind that yellow guard. The gaps between those front guards we call ports. So there's lots of ports there to work with. You can come in both directions.
Either that or it's this.
My gut said the hack waiter, and if you chip the guard, what do you do?
Ooh, that's like dead buried.
Okay.
If you're playing the draw,
Dead buried means the player in the hack can't see any of that stone. It's completely hidden by the guard.
If we do this, bounce it to there. What's
In theory, we say if you can't see it, you can't hit it, but this guard's long enough and this ice is swingy enough that that's not actually true on this kind of competitive
It
ice.
moves a lot when it crosses that line.
okay.
It's either in or soft.
the intern softy was my first guy.
Softy. I still saw a little less.
Yeah.
Less with the soft. I don't think so.
Okay. Well, just okay.
So they're looking to throw in between the guards, by the looks of things.
Yeah, they need to move that yellow out from behind. It's pretty safe where it is, and it's shot stone, so they need to move that. So they're going to come down about a hack, we call it hack weight. You see those two black rubber inserts in the ice that the players throw from? That's going to be the weight they're going to throw down, so it just finishes nicely and moves that stone out from behind the guard. It's quite a nice finish as it crosses the center line. It moves quite a bit, so this is a very makeable shot. Famous last words.
Commentator's curse.
Yeah, exactly. We called it coach's curse, but same result. I hear we're light. That's not a good sign.
I hear them shouting for the sweepers to get to work on that to increase the distance in between the two guards. The sweepers have done their job there.
Yeah, great shot. Great shot. That's superb communication on line and on weight.
Den blir jo fort, drar han bare bak den nye da. Men vi har ikke så mye annet, har vi. Bra å tappe den litt, liksom. Får ikke så jævla mye ut av det. Nei.
Not many skips who finish a game that aren't a little bit hoarse from all that passion and shouting. That was lovely. Really nice and close to the guard. Good sweeping, good line call.
Ja, hvis jeg bommer, så drar han her.
You see that striking band, that rough band in the middle? It looks like it's a bit white and powdery.
Runner den.
These stones are what we call very lively. They're really high quality. They really move. Just a small contact, you get a lot of movement on the ice. Club stones are not like this. You hit that and it wouldn't have moved very far, but that was a really nice shot. And you can rely on these stones to have a lot of life in them. So just make contact and it's easy to move a stone.
Jeg kan imot å rønne gul, men jeg prøver på det, bare rønne noen stikken her.
Ja, det var det jeg tenkte. Så har vi liksom litt margin her også.
Vice and Skip for Norway in consultation now, trying to find a way through. But the two Red Rocks guarded well by the two Red Rocks outside of the house.
Ja, det det.
Yeah, Norway have got the last stone advantage here, but they've got nothing to work with. At the moment, they're setting third shot. Canada's lying 2.
11. Med 11 tror jeg skal nære kantstein. Det går ganske rett der. Skjønner. 11.
Bare 11.
And a good look at the angles here.
Runde den inn, så åpner vi hele outside-siden på det siste.
Enig.
Hvis vi prøver å runde rød, og så bare ruller vi senter og bommer, så har vi liksom ingenting på siste.
Nei, jeg liker den callen.
11. Ja.
Need a great shot here from Magnus if they're going to score in this end.
10. Ja. Ja.
Gold medal match in the men's curling. Norway started the stronger, but Canada fighting back, and they've tried to run that one through the house and take out the two Canadian Rocks, but missed completely.
Yeah, the sweepers were trying to hold it wider, but it just curled that little bit too much. Hit the stone too thick on the nose.
Ideally, if anything, the overcurl slightly is probably the best.
So Canada's going to block up that front now and challenge Magnus to have a great shot to get anything out of this end.
Chris, I'm thinking a quarter.
You see the difference? Canada made that angle run back and changed the whole end, and Norway missed the angle run back.
Yeah, tight.
And now they're in trouble.
You guys like that ice?
So an important last stone for the Canadians. Karsten Sturmay to release it, the skip.
No. Dead buried.
And as you can see, those two Red Rocks in the house defended well by the two guards. Placement shot expected here from the Canadian skip to make things tricky. for Norway, who have the hammer in the fourth end.
Halfway. Whoa, it's really heavy, guys.
Hey, weight's good. We're tight. Weight's good. We're tight. It's good.
They're staying off this one. Skip thinks it's heavy.
Good spot, guys. Good spot.
Okay. Worked out okay. That has provided a little bit more defense to the two scoring stones in the house inside the 8 and 4 foot there. So now it's over to the Norwegian skip.
Yeah, Magnus is just going to throw a nice, cautious weight shot, come through that center port, move that red stone back, score one. You heard them say the stone was heavy, but on this aggressive ice, it takes a longer path because it swings more, and the weight just came right off it as it started to move. So they got a good result out of that. They'd like it to be a little bit closer to the center line because they have left Magnus a shot through here, but it's still a tough one.
Norwegian skip Magnus Ramsfjell with the hammer out of the hack. Stone released before the hog line. Sweepers at work.
Just keeping it nice and clean. It looks good. It's got to move. Here it comes. Here it comes.
Line is good between the two guards. Is it heavy enough? A little tap.
Great shot. Yeah, one yellow. That's why the Canadians just needed that stone a little bit closer to the center line. They gave him just that room to swing onto that stone.
Canadians there conceding that immediately. It's often down, or always pretty much down to the athletes on the ice to make a decision, and Canada conceded the one immediately to Norway. This one's been about containment, this match so far. Norway had played the better through the first two ends. In fact, they stole the first one, but Canada have limited them to just 1 point in the fourth with the hammer. Norway leading 2-1 as we go into the fifth.
That was a great shot. Nice control. Nice communication, sweeping and line. So this is the kind of game you'd expect at this level for medals. One here, one there. Waiting for that mistake to come and get a few points on the board.
Canada starting to warm into this. They have the hammer in the fifth end. And Gaute Nepsted, the vice, who's thrown a 97% accuracy through this particular match. A gold medal match, in fact, releases the first stone.
Your lead player who throws the first two stones is so important at this level. In club curling, the weakest player on the team is given the lead stones. But at this level, if your lead is not world class to set things up for your skip, you're really going to struggle. The first two players chosen for teams at this level are the skip and the lead, because they make all the difference.
Hold on.
Top 14.
Hands the room.
Heavy with the edge. Top 4.
Venance the lead for the Canadians.
Just topping.
Oh.
Weight is looking pretty good here. They're trying to ride this one into the house.
Go, 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 go.
Nice toss, buddy. Had a point.
And the Canadians are happy with that one inside the 8 foot.
Ja, litt mer. Hun jobber ganske hardt I starten her, altså.
So if things go according to as they have done before, Nepstad wants this one to roll just up to the rock thrown by the,
they're gonna,
the Canadians.
This will be a battle of angles for the first couple of stones. They're setting something up for a future shot, so they want to make sure that the correct angle, that any contact on the stone removes the opposition stone.
They want this to roll in between the two and into the house.
A little bit short. They wanted that to sit on top of that, so any tiny contact on that yellow would remove the red. It just came up a little bit short.
Rune Hansen there looking on, the Norwegian coach. Poker-faced.
That's part of the skill we have to learn. No matter what happens, just stare straight ahead. Sit on your hands and stare straight ahead. This looks heavy.
Just past the guard and past the other two in the house.
Stay in the rings, but it's further back than they wanted.
Yeah, especially with the help of the Norwegian skip.
Just fast to that wing and
Sweeping to encourage the Canadian stone further back into the house.
You heard him mention that it's faster out to the wing. That's what we call the two sides of the ice. You're going to throw out to the wings.
So just setting the inward curl as he comes up to the hog line. Norwegian second, Bendik Grimsfeld. Tapped his own rock and then into the Canadian rock, and the shooter being pushed out of the house.
Bendik struggling a little bit in this game. His stats are down in the 60s. And this kind of gold medal game, that's going to cost them. Needed to hit thicker, and he's just rolled out the side here. They really needed to have two yellows sitting in the house, and that red should have been back past the tee line. So Canada's in a nice position here under that center guard.
So do we see Canada break away here?
Line's good, you got room.
Chris Kennedy also down in the 60s with his shot accuracy.
The second position, before the 5-rock rule, when it was only a 4-rock rule, the second player basically spent most of their time hitting. But now the second has to play a really good draw shot or a positional shot with the first one, because they cannot hit till their second stone. Cannot hit anything in the free guard zone until their second stone. So they have to become more versatile. They're more like a vice player now.
15-1.
Where's my grip? Liker du samme? Okay.
Well, perhaps they wanted that one either to curl a little bit more and a little shorter, or to go a little bit longer and closer to their other rock.
It's a nice position because any contact on it is going to go over that back red. We call it showing them half a stone. And anything that they do there will go over the top. It won't be able to hit both of them at the same time. So it's a pretty good position. A lot of rotation on this stone. Bendik.
Just starting to curl into the centre now. It's going to go past the guard. Takes out one.
That's what I mean. It went over the top of the red. He could never get both of them, but it's good he's kept his second one in the house this time. That's what should have happened with the first one. Canada's going to replace that, maybe even sit on that yellow stone, depending on how it finishes.
Scott, do you like that or less?
Touch less.
I like that. There we go. Toppy.
Yeah, I'll throw you something.
That was a great previous shot from Canada because they knew the position meant they couldn't get to the one in the 4-foot.
So Canada's third. Out of the hack.
This is the scariest thing you can hear from a skip is same again. It's a real challenge to put the same rock, put a rock back in exactly the same place twice. Line looks good. Sweeper's working to just finish it into the right position in the rings.
Oh, that's a great shot.
Nice shot. Nice shot.
15-1.
Yeah, and Steinke there, the third, calling that as Kennedy puts out two good shots here.
Litt innsida, ser jeg. Okay. Jeg skal på litt på innsida. Skal litt utside.
Okay, now you're going to see a classic run back. Let's see what happens here. They can get both of these Canadian stones if they get this right.
Weight heavy line, very good indeed.
Great shot. Good shot.
Shooter hitting the sideboard will be removed from play. A bit of a fist bump there from Seisaka.
If you click that, it's not terrible.
Yeah, really good shot.
Top.
Nearly got all three. Happy with that one?
Top 4.
I think it's going to be a little better.
No, even a rock is making a big difference right now.
Well, they have a little break at the end of the this end, halfway stage of the match, to just resurface the ice and just give it a bit of a clean. But it looked to me there like the Canadians were doing a bit of cleaning themselves ahead of time.
Yeah, this we expect this ice to be so perfect that the sweepers do a bit of cleaning, make sure there's no debris, because they want this to finish perfectly. These stones are really, really heavy, but if they catch the tiniest piece of ice or a bristle from a sliding brush or even a hair, then these stones can change direction. We have a rule in the Scottish program: you get a haircut 2 days before an event.
That's a great one.
So you've had time to wash out all the little bristles, because even that can make a difference.
14-2.
A little bit of fabric from the inside of a hoodie on the ice can change the direction of a stone, so it's really important. The players, as they enter the field of play, step on sticky plastic to take anything off the bottom of their shoes that might be there.
So 2 different shots from Martin Seesacker, a weighted, heavy.
This one's too heavy.
Run back, and now a more delicate shot here.
Yeah, a little bit too heavy. You saw the Canadian skip just waiting for that stone to cross that tee line so he could jump on it.
But it's a tricky skill, isn't it, in having to throw one heavy one and one placement one.
It's something we practice. If you've got somebody throwing hits, you've got an elevated heart rate, you've got elevated adrenaline, so it's something we train for. You throw a hit, then a draw. Oh, somebody enjoying their computer game in the background there.
Yeah, patiently waiting for the
big four-ender.
The last couple of ends here. It's really brewing up into a fine conclusion, this one, at the halfway stage. At the moment, there's not going to be much between these two teams.
Good on, boys.
Okay, that's a great shot. You see it sat between those 2 rocks, so Norway can only sit on top of it. They can't remove that stone without removing the backing. So we'd say that stone is frozen.
So what's the tactic here, Brad? Do the Norwegians go for something heavy here and try and clean out the house, or will they try and roll up for placement on as close to the button as possible?
There's no way they can get rid of that red stone. They're going to try to probably remove the backing, because right now that stone is completely safe. It would jam on the yellow or jam on the red. Even if they threw super weight at it, it's still going to jam on that red and not leave the house. So there are 2 choices they've got here would be to freeze on top of it to try to limit the damage, or try to tap that backing off so they can find a new angle and maybe deal with it.
Running out of rocks, though, here. So will the Norwegians try and repeat what the Canadians just did and put their rock on top of the one just placed by Canada?
We need a good shot here from Magnus, because if this isn't, Canadians can really lock up this 4-foot, and this could be the first end with more than a 1 on the board. So this stone is just to change the angles.
Well, they come off it.
So if Magnus got another shot right now, he'd nail that front yellow and both the reds would go flying, but I don't think that's in Canada's game plan, so they're going to deal with that. But it was a nice shot to take the backing off, because now both of those reds could go.
Well, you might be able to keep them both, but if you could keep this as 3rd shot.
Yeah, you need to get this guy clear, right?
Yeah. So I think
probably just through.
So Canada now, we're going to move the angles around and try to give themselves a chance for a multiple score on the board this end.
They have 2 stones left to throw, and it's the skip, Karsten Sturmay, the 22-year-old from the University of Alberta in Edmonton, who is throwing those rocks.
So they're just going to try to spread those 2 back rocks out. Yellow won't really go anywhere. You heard him say hack on the beak, so he's just going to throw hack weight, which is a calm weight, onto the nose of that stone just to remove the backing, just spread it around a little bit, so if they get a chance, they can remove it for a multiple point end.
Out of the hack. An important penultimate rock for Canada here to set up for a potential multiple point score.
Needs to swing a little bit more here.
Sweeper called into work here.
Okay, they would have wanted to hit that one a little bit closer to the nose. Right now, Norway can hit the inside of that stone and move it aside. That really, they wanted that sitting on the button.
Hvis vi chapper, så har han en chapper 2.
Altså, fokus på å gjøre den tripperen, egentlig.
Ok?
Ja.
Vis oss huset, da.
Ja, jeg syns det. Altså, blir vi kvitt de tre, så er problemene våre løst.
Liker det.
So Magnus is going to play a big weight shot here. Take this one and hopefully one or two at the back.
Når jeg chapper med pil, så har vi trippelen her. Skytter vi 3, vel?
Ja. En liten innside med rulle, eller? Ja, det er frekt.
Okay, last Norwegian stone at the end. Let's see what they can do with this.
Skal gå ganske rett.
Ja. Jeg er greit på mine.
Skal sette den ut.
Well, weighty, that's for sure. Norway are looking to clear in the house. 1, 2. So certainly 2 scoring points, 2 scoring stones here, perhaps 3.
Canada, yeah, this is going to be interesting because Canada's got a double in the center, but that yellow top 8-foot stone is out-counting the back red one. So right now he's looking at a really good double just to make his one.
So Canada here with their skip Carsten Sturmey with the hammer, the last rock of the 5th end here. Norway leading 2-1. Canada slowly but surely edging their way back into the match here, but need a good shot to take us to the halfway stage.
Okay, here it comes to playing a bit lighter weight here. They've got to come to that center stone. It's coming over now. It's coming over now. Coming over now. Great shot.
Lovely.
Great shot for the one.
Lovely effort there from the Canadian skip. It's been an intriguing battle here between these two teams for the gold medal at the Krasnoyarsk 2019 Winter Universiade. Neither team has been able to score more than a single point in the ends, and we are level at the halfway stage, 2 apiece between Canada and Norway.
got a couple of choices, right? We can grind it out and make it tough on ourselves, or we can just free ourselves up and go and play. Okay? So I think that's what we need to do here in the second half. Just free ourselves up, go and play. Set yourself up well in the hack, throw it to make it, you know? Mm-hmm. Operate within the broom head.
Ole Gunnar Solskjær. Ole Gunnar.
Bare til deg og Gaute. Det er helt fantastisk.
Kan si jeg skipping i verden. Nei, coaching i verdensklasse.
Vi har, som jeg sa til gutta, vi har stjert. Vi har forsa det. Vi har snudd hammeren i partallsomgangen. Ja. Vi har gjort alt det der, den lille fordelen de hadde før matchen hadde snudd. Det er vi som presterer og presser dem i hver omgang her, føler jeg. De har en skip som er bra. Så han
Yeah. Take your aim on the lines. So, oh, she's great for this line too. And then so
Well, welcome back to the Ivan Yarygin Sports Palace here in Krasnoyarsk, Siberia, and the 29th Winter Universiade gold medal match in the men's curling between Canada and Norway. It's been a thriller so far. A tactical battle, and you've got to say Norway have kept themselves very much in this against the favourites Canada.
Yeah, a little more. It's a bit cutter. Yeah.
Norway with the hammer in the sixth end. So Canada will throw first. Glenn Venance out of the hack, the 22-year-old from Lloydminster, representing the University of Alberta, Edmonton. In fact, all four of the Canadians hark from that university. Throws the first stone in the second half of this intriguing battle for gold.
13-8.
Well, a little heavy again from the Canadians. Into the back of the house.
Even quarter were...
For lite i studentene. Ja.
That mob just had a pretty good effect. Yeah, it is a big one.
Ja, 4-10 også.
Ja.
The lead, Gaute Nepstad, is the vice for the Norwegians, the 24-year-old.
Jeg gjetter på inn min, kanskje. Det er helt greit ikke. Det er helt deilig.
So throwing a guard out there, setting the scene for this sixth end. Throwing the guard, often a sign of an aggressive approach, as Venance comes out very quickly for his second stone.
Take a look. Line's great. Does not need finish.
Not in. All there. Hey, can't go. Don't really want to go.
Stay off then.
Just faster.
That's a great rock. Got it, boy.
So, a heavy one from the Canadians for their first rock, and then a guard thrown out for the second one. Brad, what are your thoughts at these very early stages?
When you have the 5-minute break, you're off the ice for a little while. and the ice can often change. Just that small bit of temperature, a bit of humidity from the breath of the audience. You have to be really careful when you come back after the fifth end that you read the ice really well. It's not unusual to make a mistake with your first stone because you're not quite sure how the ice has changed. A little faster, a little slower.
Norwegians perhaps starting a little bit better at having thrown the second rock, but that one looks a touch heavy as well.
Yeah, that's further back than they wanted. The thing is, when the sweepers know that the stone is going to be heavier, they're going to sweep it right back, because what you don't want to do is leave the stone just one stone width behind the tee line, because if somebody sits on top of the button with a stone locked on the back, that's a bad
So effectively the rock at the back is defending and holding the one in front in position.
That's the thing. So if you know you're going to be heavy, sweep it back so nobody can freeze into shot position on top of you. Again, they're calling heavy, so the ice is a little bit keener, a little bit faster than they're reading after that break.
Yes! Straight freeze right now. Yes! Straight freeze, it's good. Gotta go! Gotta go!
Yeah, no, I think they wanted to be a little bit high. So they were stuck in the middle. They wanted that to be a little bit higher. And it wasn't heavy enough to freeze on the back one, so it got stuck in the middle.
Chris Kennedy, that was throwing that rock, and now it's Bendik Ramsfjell, who's perhaps not thrown as well as we've seen him throw all week here in the gold medal match, showing tension can get to these athletes. You mentioned the change of conditions in that 5-minute break, Brad. I mean, for those fans of curling that perhaps haven't seen it at this kind of level, I don't see it often at this kind of high level. I mean, doors opening as spectators go out to the concession stands. Does that make a difference to the air temperature?
Every little thing about the conditions, any air movement, people coming and going, even when the crowd builds up quickly, you have to have really good dehumidifiers because the moisture from the crowd's breath can actually make the ice a little bit frosty.
Well,
outdoor conditions are very carefully monitored. Humidity in the ice rink, temperature at the surface, underneath the surface, and at head height. It's a real science.
And is that a feeling thing for the players and the coaches, or do they have actual measurements in front of them?
They'll just know from experience. You got to watch the ice after the fifth end. Also, we haven't played down this way for both a fifth end break and an entire end. So nobody's played this ice for about 25 minutes coming in this direction. So it's plenty of time for it to change.
Good point. So a slightly heavier knock here.
Get it out, Glenn, get it out.
You see that stone that just drifted out the back? A club stone would never do that. It would have dug in and still been in the rings. But these stones are so nice, these ice conditions are so good that just that little contact took the stone out the back. And the players love playing on this kind of ice. Arena ice is what you dream of.
Well, Bendik Ramsfjeld's second stone. The sweepers having to work hard on this one. Just
coming up light.
Just outside the house, you can see.
So Canada want to come tuck underneath of that, set 2 in the 4-foot.
They're right on a really tricky spot. I like it. We know it'll finish here.
So you see, that was a really good indication. That's where the skip wants it to finish. Now he's judged how far out this player has to throw it to achieve that.
Quite slim.
So going for a big draw here, aiming quite far out to the left. As Canada's third will release his first stone of the 6th end.
It's an interesting dynamic because the Canadians tend to play at home because the standard is so high. So, of course, when they come to an international, they can't understand what the other team is saying, but these Norwegians speak perfect English. So every word out of the Canadians' mouths, the Norwegians are listening to, but the Canadians get nothing from the Norwegians. And it's something the Canadians have to deal with when they do their first international competitions. Not being able to understand the opposition, but them being clearly understood. Okay, a little bit wider out than they asked for. He wanted to be tucked a bit more underneath that. Now Norway can come down with a nice medium weight shot, get underneath there. You see he's not happy with that.
Yeah, but exposed that rock, as you can see, clearly visible.
You heard him say, I thought it was going to come off the hill. The ice is slightly banked so that when they cut the ice with a machine beforehand to give it a nice surface to play on, it usually swings more toward the center of the sheet. So that's what they were counting on. It's a little bit wide. The outside sweeper's trying to steer the stone in as best he can. Give it a little bit better contact position.
Not bad.
Needed just to roll one stone in, so Canada now have the same shot.
And they've seen the weight and the line thrown by Siseka.
With that shot, you either want to roll in and make the shot, at least be half covered, or if those stones weren't in the back, to roll wide, but not to give the opposition exactly the same shot, because they've just learned from you.
So, Brad, this is a crucial shot, isn't it? Because if he can nail this one, execute it perfectly, and tuck it up behind the centre guards, Canada are going to be in a very strong position, even though they haven't got the hammer.
Yeah, this is really power position for Canada if they can make this shot. The front's messy and there's lots of stones at the back to jam on. So this will really put pressure on Norway if he can make this. Sweepers are off it. They're waiting for it to curl. They're happy with the weight, just the line's not finishing.
Tristan Stein throwing this, Sweeper's working on it. Oh, now that was nearly a really interesting shot, taking out two of the Norwegian stones. Was that a little light, perhaps?
This was a great plan B shot. Every stone has the shot you want to achieve and the professional mistake. And the professional mistake there was to read that the stone wasn't going to curl enough, so get the best result out of it. They've rolled wide and moved the Norwegian stones back, so that was a great result for a missed shot.
And are they thinking about that before they've thrown the shot, or are they reacting to it on the ice?
The skip knows that this is a tricky shot, and he's watching for every indicator, but because that was a little heavy and wide, he knew the shot wasn't there, so he immediately jumps on a second shot.
Well, Siseka out of the hack already, throwing a big weight here, trying to look to clear things up.
Liker begge sider. Var det ikke begge sider nå?
Yeah. I'd rather have him throwing that one.
Sorry, I started litt.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. There's a lot of stones at the back to jam onto. This is going to be tricky for Norway to come out of this end.
I guess so, yeah.
You got to guard the high side of it.
Okay.
So the Canadians know that that yellow stone in the center is something they can run back and use.
Still a titch more.
So they're going to block it up to make sure that you heard him say we need to guard the high side of it, because the right side of that stone is the one you drive back into that shot stone in the 4-foot. So they have to make sure that angle's not available.
And you're referring to the rock just at the top of the house, the yellow one just clinging onto the blue line.
The one just biting the paint at the top, they need to make sure they can't use that. That's the most dangerous Norwegian stone on the sheet right now, because they can use that to tap up into the 4-foot or run back.
So they want to hit this, or are they trying to cover it?
They're covering it. Well, the original call they made was to cover it, but he's now looking from the hack because he might see something he didn't see. Okay. Okay, so they've changed the icing on it because when he's gone down to the hack, he's probably seen an angle that wasn't quite as clear when you're standing right on top of the rocks.
So over the hog line, Sweeper's working gently on it at the moment.
Sweepers are right off it. Right off, right off.
Well, they did go for what you suggested, covering the stone, the yellow stone right at the top of the house.
I think that wasn't quite the position they wanted, because those stones are so close together. With a great shot, you could, the angle is still there.
But that last-minute correction there, or decision, perhaps Canadians in two minds.
They wanted that to sit just a bit further over to change the angle. That's what you call a plant, when one's right on top of the other one.
Like snooker.
Like snooker, exactly. This is snooker. This is everything.
Snooker, chess on ice.
The best teams can see and read all the angles. It's something they learn from an early age, and some people just have that kind of math brain where they see this. the best teams pull shots out of nowhere just because they can really read the ice, really read the angles. So if that stone that Canada just threw was slightly over to the left, then there was no way to run that back into the Reds. But right now there's a chance. Norway's got to open this front up because they have nothing but a tap for one on that stone that's just biting the top. So he's got to move this to give them some sort of chance. So right now Canada's line 2.
So Nepstead down at the house end. It's the skip, Magnus Bremsfjell, throwing the penultimate rock for Norway, and it is weighty, it is heavy, and has it worked?
Great shot. Cleared the front up and got used to that stone. That's what Canada didn't want. They didn't want that angle left.
Well, this guy's back.
Watch the connection here.
They're having a really good look at who's actually sitting shot here.
I think so, yeah. Thinking 14, Chris. We haven't played this path all in.
We might see a measure for the first time in this end if those rocks remain where they are, and you see the Norwegians making sure that that rock that hit the side of the sheet, the side board, didn't come back and disturb any of those rocks. It's effectively out of play as soon as it touches the sideboard.
Canada's in a great position here to force Norway to a 1 and lose the hammer. Just get a nice shot in here that Norway can't remove. But you can see from the overhead that yellow are sitting 1, so Norway are sitting 1. Canada just wants to come down on top of that so they can't score more than 1 this end.
Sturmay, the Canadian skip, just preparing his last stone on the line.
Line's good. Line's close. Line's good.
He feels it's light.
Back 8, back 12.
The sweepers aren't at work.
So it's going to come right down to those back stones.
Right off.
They need it to sit on the yellow, so there's no way to remove it.
Clear between the guards.
Okay. They'll have a really good look at the angles now and see if there's any way they can get more out of this.
Well, Brad, for the uninitiated like myself, surely they tap the left-hand guard and knock it in and off the closest red one. They could be on for 2 here.
That's a very, very difficult shot. They're looking to see here if they can come down to the back one and move those 2 reds just enough to bring that left yellow stone into play, because it's still sitting pretty much full in the 8-foot. But they need to move both of those red stones far enough back into the 12. You see this right stone next on the right of his brush. If they can move those 2 reds far enough back, he'll get a 2 out of this. It's out counting the top red stone you see on your screen there on the right of the 8-foot. So Norway just needs to move these 2. There's a path to do it, and the angles are great. He can just take this on the nose and move them back. Doesn't have to move them far, just enough to score 2.
As you've been saying, as Rune Hansen, the Norwegian coach, looks on, you just have to touch these stones and they'll move well for you.
He can't overcurl and hit this on the nose. He's got to hit inside, come around the guard and hit to the left side of the stone to be able to move both of them. This would be a great shot if he makes it.
The final stone of the 6th end released. It's travelling down the ice. The sweepers very gently dealing with it. First job to go in between the guards.
It's there now, they're sweeping it. They need to come to the inside of that red stone. It's looking good.
They're on it, they're on it. Is it enough? It might well be. Well, they're definitely on for 1, that's for sure.
I think you're going to see the signal for measure come up here. Hard rule of thumb, if it's even close, measure it, because you don't know if the rings are perfect. They should be, but you never know. I think the red, you can see the band of the red. but they're going to measure. I think Norway only got one out of that.
Looks like us. I don't know, we've had some uneven rings before. Sure, do you want to measure?
So you hear them saying that? The umpires checked the rings before, and these were probably cut by machine, but when there's this much at stake in a gold medal game, to me, I'd say it's red.
Well, and you know what? It's really interesting. They say that this is a very gentlewomanly sport as well. And it was the Canadians that said, well, we've seen rings not being absolutely perfect. So it's Canadians suggesting to the Norwegians, in a spirit of fair play, that they should just go for the measure to double check.
This is one of the only sports where it's up to you to admit your mistake. If you accidentally touch a rock, it's up to you to admit it and stop the stone coming down the ice. You don't often see that in sport.
Yeah, call it burning a rock if you touch it with your foot or with your brush. And there is the rather, well, in principle, fairly simple measuring device. Stick it into the middle of the house. And
we're trying to move to lasers, but we need a laser machine that goes to thousandths, not just hundreds, because it's not precise enough. So the umpire clearly indicates the red stone is closer. There, she moves it back to make it clear for the audience.
I wonder by how much, because that was close.
It's always hard to see from broadcast when there's an overhead camera. You think you've nailed it, and then the measure comes up the opposite. So I hedge your best by saying you think that that's the one that's counting.
So the Norwegians do get a single point in the sixth. Again, another end decided by just the 1 point. And in fact, it was the Canadians' heavy first rock that was a bit of a mistake that ended up being a little bit of a saviour there.
Well, with 2 or 3 stones going back, it created that wall at the back, which really limited. I mean, the Norwegians would have loved to have played probably bigger weight at that, but you don't know where you're going to get any bounces off other stones. You've got to be careful.
Well,
the shot was there. It was a great chance. He just missed it. Just needed 2 centimetres more.
So we start the 7th end, and we can see that there is just 1 point between the two teams here, both playing a bit of containment as Gaute Nepstad, the vice for Norway, releases the first rock of the 7th end of this gold medal match.
So Norway's going to try to set up and steal here. Nobody can get that 2-point advantage. Although with the 5 rock rule, 3 is what you need to be safer. All you need is 1 miss, and a 3 or even a 4 can come out of nowhere. So 2 isn't the safety zone it used to be.
Canada unable to remove the guard. Play to the house.
Line's getting better. Finish, Chris. Hard, Chris. Both of you, yep.
And they try to tuck this one up behind the guard laid down by Norway.
Okay, yeah, it's a little bit short. Now Norway can come underneath it there, and there's a double center guard. Canada didn't want to leave that there because that's exactly what the Norwegians wanted.
Well, coming around the other side, Gaute Nepstad with his 2nd rock. He'll then pick up the vice duties in full.
You know you're in good shape when your lead's throwing 100%. Can't ask for any more than that. And this is another good shot. Sit, sit, sit. Ooh, back behind the tee line. That's not what he wanted.
Okay. 14 blank, så det litt glattere der.
The angles were good though. It drew round nicely, just a little heavy.
Just a beautiful finish with these stones. This is, to say, a characteristic of arena ice. This beautiful big curl underneath when you get close to the guard. Sometimes too much. Comes out the other side, but it's beautiful compared to most curling rink ice. Players love playing on this kind of surface.
Glenn Van Ant with the 2nd rock for Canada. You say that club rocks or club stones won't move as much. Is that because they're not maintained at such a high level?
Yes, these ones are specially stored. They live at Green Acres Curling Rink in Scotland near the factory where they're made. and they're taken off the ice. They're stored in the cold, keep them up to temperature, put in special boxes with special padding, and shipped around the world to play just these top-class events. These stones were made only about 20 kilometers, I think it is, from where the granite that's inserted in the bottom of the stone comes from, a very famous volcanic core in Scotland called Elsa Crag. Nice shot, very nice shot. Beautiful hit and roll. One of the best shots in the game if you can pull it off.
It's peeling back.
He's smiling, he knows he got a good one there.
You like that?
Tucked up nicely behind the red rock.
That's back line. I think that's close.
Using the angles well, the Norwegians. So the second for Canada, Chris Kennedy. Not so accurate on his out turns. So if you're pleased to be throwing a rock turning into the center.
Great shot, Chris. Attaboy.
Yeah. That stone was a problem, and now they've split it aside, so at least it's not double guarding. If the Norwegians remove that front guard, then they can get... Or if that front guard is removed, that yellow one, it clearly opens up the house. But that second stone was a problem.
15, eller? Nei, ligger 14 her ute. 14.
Forrige var fin.
14 her ute.
Second stone from Bendik Ramskjell coming around the other side now. Sweeping hard.
Bit too much on the inside, over curled.
Okay, bra det. That's okay. Where you make the double push.
Okay. It's a bit of a counter.
You can often tell from the facial expression exactly how the shot went.
No, this one isn't the counter.
You like that?
Okay. Shade less.
Not a
So that's good for Canada. They got a bit of backing to work with now. Easier to keep your stones in play when there's no clean path out the back.
See that? That's right for hack.
Yes! Big hack! Gotta go! Gotta go!
Well, they said they're calling for hack weight there. They seem happy with that. They're going to take out that top Norwegian stone.
Good sweep. It's a little big, a little tight.
Left to double.
I think your weight was good.
We
Yeah,
pushed by
I
the
think
half.
you're going to see these two reds exit pretty sharp.
Yeah.
Not the angle of finish they wanted.
So straight takeout here?
Yeah, this is going to see both of these stones go. He's going to hit the right one first and into the left one.
Susaka, the third. He's thrown a couple of heavy ones, strong ones, and another one there, as Brad Askew, our expert, suggested. And we're coming down to crunch time here in the seventh end. And still not much between these two teams at the moment. Both playing some good shots, both playing some absolute cracking shots, but both not able to do anything to score more than one.
Yeah, at this level, it's centimetres that make the difference. Centimetres in contact, measures at the back.
So Steink, the third for Canada. Throwing heavy as well.
Clean. Great shot.
Takes out the back two.
Yeah, it's out the back.
8-5.
Den inne. Liker du å spille den da? De shot. Det greit for meg. Ja.
And you're talking about angles. That was absolute perfection. Missing the guard, skipping past the one inside the house and taking out the two at the back.
Norway's looking to run this back straight on and set two. Get rid of that redstone.
Slightly different from the takeout, but still heavyweight.
Great shot. Perfect.
So sitting 2, as Brad said, means at the moment those stones from Norway are both closer than the closest Canadian stone.
Low side.
Should the end conclude now, Norway would get 2 points. He's happy with his work in this end.
So this is where the centimeters make the difference. The Norwegians wanted to hit on the nose and keep both. The Canadians want to hit just off nose and get rid of both. Just centimeters difference in the 2 shots.
Steinker gets 1.
Almost.
So close.
Hasn't rolled on to make his the scoring stone either. So Norway move on to their skip, Magnus Remsfjell.
Because that yellow guard is so long, even though it's pretty well hidden underneath, if Norway want, they can get control weight and just remove that and roll to the side. There's a lot of room to swing once it passes that high guard.
Jeg tipper nesten at han setter tappen her hvis vi drar rundt.
Jeg synes det opp til deg.
So Norway have got a choice here. They're just looking at that. They can either get rid of the Canadian stone, which is what they've now chosen to do, or they could have been very aggressive and come underneath of that and challenge Canada for a steal. Put another one on the board. So they've elected to play safer. Canada can't score with what isn't in the house. So this just guarantees them with only 2 stones left. That's the maximum they would get away with.
Rune Hansen maintaining that poker face. So as we look down the ice, the Norwegians are looking to swing in from the left to the right. 21-year-old Skip. Down the ice. Just asking them to hang off a little bit past the guard. Looking very good.
Great shot. And actually, that's rolling far enough now. There's no... the only way for Canada, if they wanted to get rid of those 2 yellow stones, is to roll out of the house themselves. So that's a great position. Rolled far enough away that there's no what we call an outside double.
Do you still like the outside?
I think that's probably in here. Okay.
So Canada without any stones in the house.
Just going to be a very gradual curl.
Can only score 2, as Brad suggested. But what they're looking to do here is find a way of scoring 2 and maintaining a difficult shot for the Norwegians.
This is a really important shot, because if he doesn't get this in position and Norway can take it out, he's got a maximum of 1 and he's forced again. And heaven forbid he missed that shot. They're on for a big steal. So this is a really important shot.
Pressure on in the gold medal match. Karsten Sturmay, the Canadian skip, has to put everything on the line here.
His numbers aren't good. 58% in turns. That's not what you want in a gold medal game.
Toppy! Real good!
Mine's good! Toppy! Right here! Toppy!
They've got the weight. They're calling for the top 8-foot ring. They just need the position. It's really got to be well hidden.
Yep, you got to finish! Doesn't matter, got to finish!
Whoa, you're fine! Whoa, stop. Good.
Okay, so they're sitting shot, but as I say, that yellow guard is so long. I'm sure Norway can deal with this. We can't really see here. Oh, there we are. Depends on what Norway wants out of this. They could... Depends on what... They're going to have to throw a really, really light weight. They can move it off to the side. I think it's buried enough they can't actually get rid of it, but they could certainly knock it out for third shot. Actually, nah. I
Come round the right of the guard.
I think he can see that. That guard's really, really long, and there's a big finish. Yep. He can probably see quite a bit of that from the hack. He's probably maybe a third of the stone, which is more than enough for this shot. So he's going to come tight to the guard with enough weight to remove that out the back and be sitting 3 and put a lot of pressure on Canada.
But it's crucial where the shooter finishes, where the stone being thrown now finishes.
If that guard was 1 brush, or better yet 2 brush lengths closer to the rings, 1 brush probably, then this shot wouldn't be there. But that guard is far too long to protect that red stone. Canada's now just hoping for a miss.
So it's one big shot after another. We hand over to Magnus Remsfjeld to release Norway's final stone, and this could be a critical one in this match where neither team have been able to pull more than a point out in an end. Now, does it clear the guard? That's the first question.
It's looking really good. Great weight, great line, really good shot.
Look at that as well, staying inside the forefoot. Now, is that on for 3 for Norway as things stand?
Gonna have to see the overhead and see whether Norway's sitting 3 or whether Canada did enough to stay.
Good sweep as well from the Knapstad.
No, Norway's sitting 3.
Yeah, so Knapstad doing his work as vice, sweeping the Canadian red stone out of a scoring position. So they can only really go for 1 here.
Canada's just going to hit this on the nose and stay for 1.
They can't go for a blank then because of the position of the stones. So Norway have forced Canada to go for 1. Execution crucial here. Karsten Sturmay releases the final rock of the 7th end. Line and length looking good. Norway sweeping hard, but not enough to make Canada lose a point. Canada score the single again in this critical gold medal match. A tactical battle of wits. Scores level. Norway with the hammer after 7 ends.
This is an advantage for Norway because we always want to have the hammer in the even ends. So hammer, if it goes with tradition, then Norway should have 2 chances at hammer, 8th end and 10th end, with Canada only having the 9th. So Norway's on a scoreboard position is in a great position here.
So blanking at this stage also starts to play a part. We are in the gold medal match between Canada and Norway here in the Ivan Yadgin Sports Palace in Krasnoyarsk, Russia. Start of the 8th end. Canada throw first.
Line's good.
The score's tied up at 3 apiece.
Norway's really going to want to put 2 points on the board here, then hold Canada to 1 in the 9th end, come into the last end with hammer advantage and 1 point up on the board. They'll be in a great shape for the win if they can do that. Canada has the tougher job, so they're setting up here center guard for a steal.
15-3.
Der corner på avtangssida. Gjerne litt is.
So Norwegians going to try to set up here. Try to get a 2 on the board. Try to get some sort of advantage on the scoreboard. This is really going to be out in the wings.
Yeah, very heavy.
It was a very, very soft release and very, very soft weight and just dug in. That's what we mean by aggressive ice. Nearly off the sheet.
Well, nearly didn't make it over the hog line. That would have been that rock removed.
Yeah, that's right. I'm glad he can laugh because he had to give himself a little hit in the head for that one.
He's got that one all wrong. Perhaps the worst rock so far in this gold medal match. Can Canada capitalise off that one?
There's a lot of stones to come in this end. You can certainly come back from that. It's just a shame for Norway because they wanted a corner guard to try to set up an aggressive end, and that's now useless. So Canada are going to ignore everything and get on with their attempt to steal, but this is too heavy again. They really needed to stay top of the tee line. Now that's just backing.
Jeg føler frysen her, så får vi bare bli forsa uansett.
Ja. Hva med softspill nå da? Margin kommer rundt og ta ut
da dytter hun bare inn.
Ok.
Tror jeg liker corner, altså.
Magnus Ramsfjeld, the skip there.
So they're going to try a second attempt at putting this corner guard up.
Nepstead, it looks like he's got the character to come back from the previous mistake he made.
These guys are really, really positive. They laugh off their mistakes and just get on with it. They trust their skill level, and they know that one stone here or there can make the game. So one mistake in 80 stones is certainly something you can come back from.
So what's the weight like on this one?
They must have found out quite quickly that was going to be heavy, because I'm sure I heard him call a corner guard again, and he gave the ice for corner guard.
Yeah, well, they certainly did start sweeping.
Pretty straight here.
Okay. Real good, Chris. Easy, guys.
Well, sweeping would suggest that that's what they thought. So they've laid this one up in the 12-foot ring. Canada now to play off that one.
They'll play off that and try to move toward the centre. That just shows you where nerves kick in. One just barely over the hog line, and the other one slips into the house. Those are two really poor stones starting from Norway.
You're rolling big.
So tapping and knocking across and trying to run underneath the guard.
Curled a lot. That was too thin contact, but at least they've got two in the house. They really needed to hit that one thicker and stay behind that guard. You see they were off of it trying to leave it to curl, and it just didn't.
Liker den nå. Liker den bedre, egentlig. 14.
So this is a lovely position for them to hit and roll and stay just T-line or just above.
Grimsfeld has had an up and down game here. Needs his best game now. Hit that on the wrong side.
He wanted to hit that one and roll in. Just hung wide, and you could see it was so wide the sweepers couldn't do anything about it, but at least he's in the rings. This is probably just going to be a hit and stick, because this is a long way to roll.
Kennedy with his final stone of this end.
Nice toss.
Yeah.
Attaboy.
Nice toss. You heard the Canadians say they've got a real vocabulary for curling.
And they got a lot of fans. Even the Russian volunteers are supporting the Canadians now.
You can see he didn't try to hit and roll that. That's a long way, so it's better to keep it out of the way. If he didn't roll perfectly, it would give the Norwegians a chance to use it. So better to be off to the side and out of the way.
So the older of the two Ramsfjelds throwing his second and Norway's fourth. Past the centre guard and into the house. They're sweeping this one hard.
Nice shot. Magnus plays mixed doubles with his sister Maya. They're a really, really good team. We played him against the Worlds last year or the year before, so he's junior champion, men's champion, and mixed doubles. He's got a clean sweep. Okay, you're going to see a run back here.
So going to hit his own stone. A heavier shot. Sweeping hard.
Hell of a shot. Attaboy.
Good shot.
9-3.
Good shot.
Remember, Norway have the hammer in this end. So with Canada clearing the house of the yellow stones, they're effectively reducing Norway to scoring a maximum of the number of stones left. Still plenty to play for, though.
Yeah, one consequence of playing a perfect run back is that you do leave a guard. You tidy up the house, but leave a guard that the opposition can use. Okay.
14-2 on this.
Swept, kind of. Yeah, a little bit. 14 quarter. Give you 14. Throw us that. It's good.
So with the way the ice is running, Brad. There's enough of a gap between the guard and that rock thrown by Norway for Canada to come around, draw, and knock it out the way.
They can. That guard is so long and that stones move so much, they can do pretty much what they want with that yellow stone.
Line's a little tight. Close.
Okay, a little tight, so the sweepers will be on it. They'll sweep to try to hold. Oh,
Line's good. Got room.
Just to hold it straight. Little film of water that makes sure the stone doesn't grab the ice too much. Oh, there's an expression.
Yeah, he's not happy with that. It's gone too heavy, he's saying.
13-4.
So now it's the Canadian stone that's been left vulnerable.
Yeah, he wanted to sit and freeze, locked right onto that stone, but just a little bit too heavy and a little bit wide.
Okay.
Well, they could come in from either side here, couldn't they? Will the right-hander favour coming?
This is... He said there's two options here. We either take this one on the nose, or the preferred shot is to roll in a little bit and sit on top of your own yellow stone. Make it really difficult to move them. So they're sweeping on the outside of the stone here to try to get it to curl a bit more. Taking it right up.
Oh, heavy out of the house, and Norway still with the scoring stone, but just the single one, and it's effectively out in the open as well.
Just a gradual curl.
Canada will come down and move that yellow stone. Try to bring some of those stones in the 12-foot into play.
Canadian skip Karsten Sturmay throwing fourth, the 22-year-old, born in Edmonton, studying in Edmonton at the University of Alberta. Haven't seen much from Rob Krebs, the coach of this team.
There's been no timeouts called. The teams have been dealing with this themselves. No sticky situations where they call the coach down for advice. It's been a pretty straightforward game. It's just a shot, just a mixture of misses and makes. Again. Yeah, a little bit too heavy again. Gave the Norwegians a chance to sweep that to the side so they can see it clearly. They really needed to be on top of that stone. I think they're getting a bit frustrated. The stones aren't finishing where they want. They're hanging it. I wonder if this ice is straightening up a little bit, because it does change during the game, because both teams are struggling to come to the inside of the stone. And that's certainly not been the problem all week. It's been a struggle just to hold it, to hit the nose of the stone. See, they're looking a little bit puzzled on what the line actually is going to be now.
Okay.
Well, both with plenty of thinking time here as we get to the meaty end of this gold medal match. Norway taking their time to make a call here. Magnus Remsfeld. Has he adjusted to the changing conditions here?
This is curling a lot. He might have caught... Oh,
just tapped it, I think. And is it...
Yeah, just rubbed the guard. I think he threw a little bit softer to try to get a bit of curl out of the stone, and he just overcorrected. The sweepers tried hard to get that past, but he just caught it. For the less experienced teams that have competed here this week, that's been the story of the week. Just not able to have the technique to control those stones and constantly just catching guards, and having that result.
Well,
that was pretty much
correct me if I'm wrong, but if Canada can get rid of the yellow stone in the middle, they're on for a big score.
They're either, I didn't see what the skip called here, they're either going to want to tap this back so it's at an angle they can deal with later. Yeah, no, it's enough to move the stone, yeah. Just want to take that one off the back. Doesn't have to leave the rings, it just has to get...
No, then, never.
No, they're calling back 8 on it.
Never.
So it's just going to come up to the stone. I just need to change the angle so that it's not going to jam on that back red.
Well, in it comes. Is this going to catch enough of it?
No, again, same result. They needed to sit
What was that, Rich?
just higher up on the stone because they wanted to leave themselves a chance to hit it and pop that yellow out the back, or at least, at the best, freeze on top of it. So he just got right in the middle of the two results he wanted. So Norway can clearly see that. You can see the frustration on the Canadians. They're just not getting the position they're looking for.
Well, you said that they want to get to Norway, and they are in a position to get to here.
Yeah, Canadians really frustrated by that. They needed to freeze onto that stone to give them no chance of scoring two, but there's certainly a two coming up now if he can get this.
Well, all about the delivery here, the execution. Looks like he's going to clear the guard here this time. They're starting to bite now, starting to turn in. Does clear the guard. Taps
Great
out,
shot.
and that's a beauty for two for Norway in the eighth end. The first team to get more than a single point in an end, and Norway go into the lead. The hammer goes over to Canada, but crucially in the ninth end, either Canada are going to want to score more than one or look to blank the end to take the hammer into the 10th. You can see the last couple of stones in that end. This being the killer blow to get the 2 points.
Yeah, it's taken 8 ends in to finally put a 2 on the board, but these teams are pretty evenly matched. Yeah, those 2 mistakes from Canada, just a little bit high and wide, gave Norway their chance.
So confirmation after 8 ends, Norway are leading Canada by 5 points to 3. Canada with the hammer in the 9th end as Gaute Nepsted, the vice, comes out of the hack through a strange one at the beginning of the last end. This one looks better.
Norway is going to do everything they can in this end to hold Canada to 1 and take hammer in the last end. 1 point up and with the hammer advantage. So they're going to leave Canada to do all the work and then in the end try to hold them to 1.
Will Canada be aggressive here and go for a guard?
Problem with the 5-rock rule is that you know, as I say, 2 points used to be pretty safe, and now it really, really isn't. You need a big end or a blank and throw all your cash in on the last end. They really need guards in good positions here. Help them build an end.
Jeg føler de prøver å friste oss litt her. Liker dere inn her, allient. Garder vi der, så drar han her. Det kan vi følge etter da, så jeg liker garden her også. Liker her. Ja, greit. Her da. Margin topp 12. Slår han på den, så blir det fort blank.
4 blankers.
You heard the word blank. They don't want Canada to blank. They want to make sure there's stones in play to force them to put a point on the board.
Well, my Norwegian's not perfect, but it looked like they wanted to throw this one in between the two. I couldn't quite tell whether they were trying to throw into the house or to throw a second centre guard in just behind.
They definitely don't want a guard out front because Canada can use that. They're going to try to tuck half underneath this stone. It's okay to show part of it, but you want to hide that inside edge so Canada can't get into it.
Liker den. Okay. Ja, det bra.
I think he was too happy for that.
No, they'd preferred a little higher and a little further. 1 stone to the left and 1 stone higher would have been perfect. Just wanted to hide the inside of that stone, so Canada always had to play on the right side of it and roll wide.
So a little heavier weight there from Glenn Van Ant. And the sweepers are on it as well. Stay on it. Stay on it. They want this one swept. They want to keep the weight through this one.
Good shot, Glenn. Good shot. Great weight.
this next few stones is just going to be touch, touch, touch. Move the angles until somebody gets a chance to jump on something. So Norway will come just to the inside of that, the right-hand side of the stone, try to roll behind the guard and move that red stone off to the side of the sheet.
Bendik Remsfeld there, releasing on the sweep. Is it going to be enough? It just taps their own rock out the way. Still visible, slightly behind the guard.
Not actually a problem, because that stone behind the T-line was dangerous. It gives Canada something to work with. So if you're going to make a mistake, get rid of backing. Again, he was just a little bit wide. That needed to be a little bit further underneath. But good position. Anytime Canada touches that, they'd have to roll wide now, roll into the open.
So the second for Canada on the ice. Chris Kennedy, 21 years old.
Oh.
It's much better. Attaboy.
Well, as you predicted, a bit of nip and tuck here, tapping each other's stones out the way. That one is quite open now as well, though. Left it very open.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. I think Norway will probably take this one off to the side. Take it out and roll to the side, give them nothing. I know Canada are trying to use that center yellow stone, which is what they just tried to do, but they were a little bit tight.
A lot of communication here with the Norwegians.
Great shot. Yeah, that was definitely the way to roll. So Canada's going to try to freeze this 4-foot stone so that it can't be removed. It's a shot they tried previously and caught it a little bit too thin, caught the top one. This is a great shot. Perfect weight, perfect roll.
Line's good. Line's good.
Tristan Steinker, the vice.
Yeah, they're going to have to move because they're calling it top 12, top 8. They need this to freeze. You hear him saying, got to go wait. They've got to get this down on top of that stone to keep it safe.
Steinker's sweeping hard at this, and as Brad said, it's fallen short.
Norway will get rid of that.
Kennedy looking down on that, immediately communicating with the vice Steinker, who was on the brush.
So again, going to come to the inside of this stone, take the red out through those 2 yellows at the back.
Martin Sessica.
Looks a little bit heavy. Got to be careful not to jam this. No, that's not what they wanted. At least they moved it off the center. That was really danger of jamming and staying right there.
I think that's good.
You want me to throw it now?
Yes. Yeah, sure. It's getting straighter here.
Yeah, you can hear him saying it's getting straighter, so the ice conditions are changing.
Like that?
Now, you hit that on the wrong side. Gives Canada a bit of a chance here now.
Back 8.
T-line.
T-line, T-line. Okay, getting better here.
14 quarter to T.
So Canada are looking to draw through those 2 yellow stones through that port.
Tristan Steinker,
Line's tight.
he was using the broom to help his teammate, now out of the hack.
He looks frustrated. You don't want to hear your skip shout lines tight as soon as you let go on curly ice. This has no weight. This is not a good shot.
As far as he goes.
Comes past their own guard.
That really needed to be through there. Yeah, because he was tight, it took a path that they They didn't call, so it could even be a path that hasn't been traveled very much. It means it's slower. He said 15-2 and they needed 14, so he threw it just a second too late. That could cost them, because Norway will get rid of this stone and be lying 4.
Sesika there. Sweeper staying off his stone until the last, and it looks like it's pretty good. And as Brad Askew suggested, Norway lie 4. Canada with the hammer.
Just focus on making that. Okay.
Yeah, this last 2 ends or 3 ends for Canada has just been a story of half shots. A little bit heavy, a little bit light, a little bit wide, a little bit tight. Just not getting the position they need.
Big weight on this one.
Good
and
shot.
Not a bad shot at all.
This is a shot you'll only see experienced teams playing a double onto their own stone. Most club curlers would see their own stone and go nowhere near it for fear of moving it, but that was a perfect lineup for them to use their own stone to get rid of that yellow. Good shot.
Again, all about the angles. Get a little round of applause from the coach.
Now Norway's having a really good look here. If they play any weight at those front stones, what angle are they going to take? Because those 2 wing stones could catch and a stone could jam, so they're having a really good look.
Har lyst til å ta inn, Magnus?
Kan godt bruke timeout, ja, hvis det er dilemma her. Bare gjør det.
For the entire match, Rune Hansen has remained poker-faced. Now he's starting to show signs of anticipation. Norway have put themselves in a very good position against the Canadians.
Litt mindre. Køle lite der. Ja.
Need a good shot here. And it's down to the skip again. Starting to curl round now.
Okay, so what do Canada do? Do they draw underneath here? Try to get a mistake out of Magnus?
I think we got to go for it, guys.
So they're saying that time to go, get underneath and get a stone into position. Easier to draw underneath and get good position than hit and roll.
If we got a shot at 3, we got to make a hard one.
Yeah, you hear him safe.
I saw quite a bit less.
Like that?
That's close. Yeah, hair more. Yeah, that's good. I guess you don't really have to. So probably need to go.
You need to be top house.
Okay, top house. Okay. 14.
Well, a lot of communication between the Canadians.
This is a really important shot.
We're going to 14 a team here.
Steiker in the house, guiding the way for his skip, Carsten Sterne.
Taking a big, deep breath, because he knows that this is a big shot.
Canada have released their final stone of the 9th end, and they need it to be a good one. It's come out wide, starts to curl in at the hog line into the house. Is this heavy? Is this heavy?
That is a really, really unfortunate shot from Canada. They really needed that. As soon as he let it go, they were right off, right off, right off. It was really heavy. Now Norway's going to try to show them how this is done. They've seen the line, they've seen the weight. He was looking for top of the house, and that was straight through. That's just pure nerves.
Gold medal at stake at the 2019 Winter Universiade, and the pressure is starting to show. Both teams have been nervy throughout, played a couple of nervy shots, but they both also played some crackers, not least this man, Magnus Ramsfjell, here for a chance of a steal against the favoured Canadians in the 9th end of the gold medal match.
I think you're going to see this go deeper than he wants, yeah. Same thing. They're assuming that by going out wider, the ice is going to be slower, but it's pretty fast down that track. That's there. Right, Canada.
Yeah, chance for 2 now for Canada. The 2 that you suggested they might need to keep themselves in this. Of course, if they score here, Norway will have the hammer in the final end.
What weight are we throwing?
I like that for medium.
Medium.
I like that first.
We have to keep rooms down.
Yeah.
Straight at it, buddy. You got it.
Carsten Sterne throw the last...
little prayer here.
Yeah, Carsten Sterne throwing the last rock here. Down to Tristan Steinke at the end there, who also had his head in his hands.
This looks wide.
Big weight.
This has got to curl.
Starts to bite.
Good shot.
And he's just about managed that. And the Canadians have scored 2 in this end to draw level at 5 apiece. And we go into the final end here with nothing between these 2 teams. It's been on a knife edge throughout this one. And Canada and Norway are tied at 5 apiece for gold. Brave shot there.
They were really worried that was going to hang wide and roll a little bit wide, but came over just in the end.
Well, there we have confirmation. 5 apiece after 9 ends here in the men's curling gold medal match at the 2019 Winter Universiade here in the heart of Siberia and the city of Krasnoyarsk. Crucially, Norway have the hammer going into the 10th end. So Canada will release the first rock of this end. Glenn Valance perhaps with the penultimate rock for him in this gold medal match.
What are you looking at here? Dying, guys, dying. It's kind of dying on you.
These are really important lead stones. They've got to get these 2 centre guards in position. You want one just over the hog line on the centre and one close to the rings on the centre. Now, this is one of the trickiest shots in the game. Canadians call it a tick shot. Most Europeans call it a chip shot. This cannot be removed from play, but they're going to catch it just thin enough that they move it to the side. Canada will be ready to sweep. No, that was a great shot. If they'd hit that any thicker, Canada would have swept it into the bumpers and it would have been replaced, because you cannot remove a guard stone in the first 5.
So they sacrificed their own stone there. Just to, Brad, go through it a little bit why that was so important.
They just, what Canada want to do is put 2 on the centre line far enough apart that they both can't be removed, and then dive underneath of it and dare Norway to out-throw them. But now that that centre guard's been removed, that's one step closer to Norway having an open house to draw to for the win for the game.
So Canada are effectively going for, trying to go for a bit, play an accuracy game and rely on their superior skill.
Exactly. They're trying to cover up this centre line with 2 really good guards, give themselves every chance to hide behind them. So Magnus is going to play this again.
Gutsy approach there from Canada, given the fact that, as we've seen, the ice has been changing throughout this game.
This is the only chance Canada's got. because they don't have the hammer, they've got to get these two center line guards up and try to hide behind them. Norway want a completely open house with no stones in play, so they have the easiest shot to win the game. So that's why they're going for these two chip shots, tick shots, to move these center line guards off, because after this they can now start hitting. So that's a bad shot. Left a center line guard, and if this goes out the back, it's going to be replaced. So yellow comes off, red goes back. If that had stopped in the house, it still would have been a bad shot because Norway left a center guard.
Honestly, I like saving it for later in the end personally.
So you see that yellow stone removed because it's illegal to hit in the first 5.
Well, there we see the free guard rule coming into play for the first time. And if anything, after the first error, that's exactly what the Norwegians wanted, that one to roll out the back, so that their stone was removed.
So Canada will probably put another guard up here.
This is the 5th rock of the end. Free guard zone no longer in play once this one stops. And they are going for the house.
Okay. That's deeper than they wanted, that's for sure.
That's pretty good. Attaboy.
Still maintaining the positive dialogue between themselves, though.
Both of these teams will have been in this position hundreds of times. Both of them know that this is a stealing end. They know what Canada has to play, and they know what they have to play. Now that the free guard zone rule is finished with, you're going to start seeing all these guards being peeled off. Norway needs to keep this completely clear.
Bendik Ramsfeld there doing his job, taking out one of the guards.
And now Canada will replace it, Norway will remove it, Canada will replace it. This is a classic stealing end. It'll all be down to the skip stones.
Yeah, I think so.
Tristan drop.
We're just past half.
You're going to have to finish this one.
Half tight.
Finish.
Closer tight.
Finish. Finish.
Closer tight.
Hard, you got it. Finish. Hard.
Go.
Really well swept.
Good work there from the sweepers.
You heard them saying you need to finish this stone. They wanted the sweepers to sweep on the outside to reduce the friction so that the stone grabbed more toward the center line.
Straight out of the hack. Knows what his job is here. Heavier weight. Are they trying to take out the one in the house as well there?
No, the one in the house is nothing. They'll leave that till the end. They just have to keep the front clear. Magnus wants an empty house to throw to, or that would be perfect. Mind you, saying that, that's what Switzerland had to play yesterday and threw it light and completely missed the stone and put Canada into the final. So it's not over till it's over.
Yeah, and the unpredictability of the ice, as we've seen throughout this game, you don't want to leave yourself with a really tough one to save it.
Switzerland played in what should have been a safe open hit, and now they're playing the bronze game because of it.
Early. Not hold it up there.
Halfway.
Halfway. Keep sweeping. Yep.
The pressure's all on Canada here. Norway know exactly what they need to do to help their skip win this game, so they just need to make these shots. This will be clear again. Yep, brush straight down.
Seseka there, coming out the hack hard and fast, past the second hog line, does his job. Sacrifices his own stone, but that's the order of the day for Norway. If they play their cards right here, and as they have done so far, they're in pole position for the gold medal.
Now Canada knows this is slipping away. They know that they should be in good position. They need to have guards out front, and there's nothing there. So they know now they're really up against it. The chances of them winning this game are starting to slip away. They need a big miss.
Line's good.
Steinker throwing out. Skip happy with the line.
Halfway, just inside. Keep it higher if you can. Line's good.
Line's great.
Halfway, just inside.
Lead.
Another guard thrown out. And this one is playing out, and as Brad said, we are in a situation here where we're looking for a mistake from Norway.
Sorry.
For players that like to follow their own stats, they love this kind of end because you rack up a number of 100% shots by playing peels.
I do a touch more.
Okay, that hit the cornerstone but didn't cost them anything because it only replaced the one that was there. Centre's still open. Now Canada are coming to crunch time. Here's the Canadian ladies team. Didn't make it quite through the playoffs, so they're here cheering for their men's team.
So this Skips last chances here.
Line's good. Close. Line's good.
Halfway. Easy.
Room.
Halfway.
Clean, Chris.
You're short of half.
Pop, Chris.
We're shorter than you.
Finish.
Shorter than you.
Clean.
Halfway. That's good.
Whoa. Halfway. Nice shot.
So if Magnus can peel this out, he knows he's one step closer to that gold medal.
As you predicted, Brad, it's down to the Skips here. Karsten Sturmay's had one go, and now it's Magnus Ramsfjell, the youngest member of the Norwegian team, who's skippering, and he's been playing very well as well throughout the tournament, but especially here in the gold medal match.
So if he can peel this one out, you'll see Canada come and do a positional stone at the top four. So trying to challenge him to either a draw or a hit for his last stone. They're going to want it high enough up that if he hits it on the nose, it isn't shot, and staggered slightly, so they're probably tempting him to try to draw. So now there'll be a big discussion exactly where they want this stone to be.
So for those of the audience that are not into the vernacular here, what they're trying to do effectively is put a rock in the front of the house, not in line with the stone that's already in there, and far enough away that if the Norwegians are left to go for a takeout, they don't have any chance of taking out both the stones going in.
Basically, they're going to leave. It depends on where this ends. Oh, here comes the coach. Yeah, I thought there'd be a timeout for a little chat with this one. There's two choices here. You go up to the 8-foot, and then
the white ring,
and then challenge Magnus to outdraw it into near the button.
Sure.
Depend where you put this. They want to make sure that if Magnus hits this, the backstone's defended and will stay shot. If you get it too, you see everybody's involved in this discussion. That's the Canadian ladies coach. If you bring the stones too close together and leave them the right angle, then Magnus just has a nose hit to double them out for the win. So they want to leave it far enough apart that there's not an easy double, and close enough that he's going to have to draw around it for the game. This is Canada's only chance, but will be all down to Magnus to make this shot. If Canadians don't get this positional and leave that backstone open, I'm sure Magnus will just come with a very soft hit onto the nose for the game. So this is a big shot now.
Take a little less.
So 9 ends, well, nearly a full 10 ends, and this whole match has come down to the last 2 stones. Going through his routine, Karsten Sturmay. This to save a chance for gold.
Line's a little tight. Slow down.
Line's a little tight was the call from Tristan Steinker.
Easy. Line's great. Line's great.
Really running.
Top beat. Very close. It's only Chris. Whoa.
Mine's perfect. It's just gotta stop.
Gotta stop. Gotta stop. Gotta stop. Stop.
So that pretty good.
Yeah, Magnus already knows what he wants to do. He could see that coming down light and was going to curl a little bit more, so it's left him to play on that backstone. You can see by Canada's faces, they know they've left him that shot, but he still has to make it.
Yeah.
Canada are left the ice now. They're out of the way. There's nothing they can do. It's all down to Magnus.
So Magnus Ramsfjell, the 21-year-old Norwegian skip, and everybody in the stadium here,
it's the Canadian ladies team praying.
Ivan Yaragin Sports Palace here, everyone on tenterhooks.
So Magnus has 2 shots here. He's going to draw this in, but he's also got backing if he's a little bit heavy. So he's just going to come down, touch that stone for the gold medal.
Rune
ready
Hansen.
to getting the camera ready.
So, out of the hack, the last rock of the gold medal match released by Magnus Ramsfjell. If he nails this, Norway have got gold at the 2019 Winter Universiade.
The stone really needs to swing. Needs to swing. It's hanging wide. Canada's getting ready. It's coming over now. This looks like a great shot.
Look at
great
this.
Shot and a gold medal from Norway.
For the gold, Norway on the line. Magnus Ramsfjell landing that one in the middle with a perfect draw. They kept it tight. It was a game of containment. Canada frustrated early on. Norway breaking away in the 8th, Canada fighting back in the 9th, but crucially, the hammer with Norway in the 10th, and they land the gold medal here in Krasnoyarsk.
The crowd really appreciated that game. Canada just struggled all the way through for position. They just kept giving Norway those chances. Yeah, great game from both teams, but just not sharp enough from Canada.
There we have it, confirmation. A thrilling match for the gold medal in the men's curling here at the 2019 Winter Universiade. And it's Norway who've pipped Canada at the post 6-5, and they'll stand on top of the podium a little later on today. Well, great scenes there as the Norwegians take out Canada 6-5 for gold at the 2019 Winter Universiade. Brad Askew, what a game that was.
That was a great game, and you can see from the stats here, both teams played to the same level, but Canada just couldn't get the stone position, and Norway got on top of them.
have him nice and close. Zoom up on his face.
Yeah, of course. What do you expect from this game? What do you mind from this final?
Yeah, obviously it was a great game. I think it was very evenly matched. They're quite a strong team, and I like to think that we're a pretty good team ourselves too. It really came down to just a couple shots here and there. Very close when we got out of it.
Sorry?
Oh, it's been the experience of a lifetime. Absolutely, we've played so well. We've played like superstars here, and to be part of not only an event of this scale, but a multi-sport event of this scale, to be part of a Marty Team Canada is just really inspirational.
We did not play like.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm your friend. You are very great player. Say something about your impressions about the game.
Yeah, once again, to echo my earlier sentiments, it was a really close game. I have a ton of respect for those guys. They're really good curlers, and we put together a really good match ourselves. It just came down to one or two shots here and there, but at the end of the day, it really could have gone either way, so I think we have lots to hold our heads high about.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Welcome to Krasnoyarsk.
Yes.
Again, okay?
Yes, we're having the time of our lives here.
Okay, we will be glad to see you again.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm with BCTV.
For sure.
We're going to do not a post game, but hopefully Chris from Canada. Chris is your comms guy, right?
Yes.
We talked to him about maybe doing an interview, like a sit-down interview with his sister after.
Yeah, for sure.
Like after her match game.
Selena's out actually. Yeah, the girls team lost in the quarters.
Why did I think they were in the gold?
No.
Okay, well, maybe
Anytime,
like
yeah.
at the arena, will you guys be watching those?
Yeah, we'll probably be there for like the back part of the women's game because their medal presentations are happening right after.
So maybe after the medal ceremony.
Yeah, for sure. We can exchange. No worries, it's all good. No worries. We can trade numbers at the end. And
Sure, that would be great.
Okay,
Thank
for
you.
sure.
I think Chris will be in contact with you. He didn't want to talk to you before.
Yeah, no worries. It's all good.
Thank you.
Sounds good.
We don't need this because we'll have
In which way do you mean that?
I mean that you're so good.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Спасибо.
I'm in Norway. We will sit down with him later. Where? For an interview with Lucy.
No worries.
You're so funny.
It's kind of a two-sided sword, right? Like you have to super aggressive and overcome opportunities like the other teams. So what we try to do is we try to maximize aggression.
Is someone going to bring Norway here?
And be more on the defensive side and try to limit their scoring opportunities when we don't.
Anyone from Norway? I don't care. Yeah, I'll take him. Are they gonna? But can you just make sure that when we're doing the interview, like she keeps her?
Well,
Thank you.
no.
Oh,
Yes.
we overcurled very, very slightly. We gave him a little more room on the drive.
And for what? You didn't interview him.
Very close. That was a very high pressure shot.
Just like with me.
Tricky, so we still didn't hate her chances, but hats off to him. He made a great shot in his last and deserves it. Very well.
Curling. Yeah, it's cute.
Obviously, I'd be lying if I said I was a little bit disappointed. Obviously, we were hoping for a medal of the gold color, but as I said last night, to walk away with a medal of any color at an event like this is such an accomplishment. The sun's still going to come up tomorrow, and we're still extremely proud of everything that makes.
You're so funny. You're just gonna stare the whole time. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, you have a doctor? Oh, Chelsea. Nice to meet you. Yes, we're just waiting for Norway.
Yeah, it's very important to us, especially when we live on quite literally the other side of the world. It's so special to be able to share this experience with our friends and family.